The following is brought to you by the People's National Party.
Make the trumpets play. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. We can tell me how we can do it together. When we look at the future of precipice, we see Jamaica needs the vision of the PSP. People said the bag of promises, them can't carry go shop. And the crime rate getting higher, wonder when it a go stop, comrades. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. We can tell me how.
The proceeding was brought to you by the People's National Party.
All right, my peeps, as usual, right, another, right, quite informative and educational day, right, with myself, Mystic Sensation, right, and Melting Pot, right. Before we go through the process, let me just first and foremost, right, pay the respect to all of the persons in the chat, right. Big up self, Carla Banks 6661, right. Yeah, man, blessings. Thank you for being here. Paula Wilson, right. Yeah, big up yourself, Paula. You know, thank you for passing through again, Paula. Beverly 975. Right, Earl, Scabba, Allen, bless up herself, Patel, Krushank, you know, ardent listener, right? Love you, Patel, Jonathan, Johnson 4998, right? Merida, Roddock, right? Yeah, man, big up yourself, right? Eileen Sanders, blessings, Christopher Wright, blessing. Right now, let us just have Melting Pot to meet and greet before we get into our show, our afternoon show. Melting Pot, meet and greet, my brother.
Yeah, man, as usual, pleasant good afternoon to everyone. This is Sensation Live. You know, as usual, we are here to dissect and analyze, you know, the sequence of events unfolding in Jamaica. I just want to say big up to everyone tuning in. As usual, you are our best friends at this time. You know, you keep the show alive, keep us, you know, well, comfortable in the space of social media. So, without any further ado, I just want to hand back the floor to you.
All right, Melting Pot. Right. In the meantime, let me inform you. Your mic system have a little fry in it. I don't know what is causing that. A little fry, right? There. Right.
Better now.
Yes. Sound better. And of course, yeah, Pamela, right? Okolo, big up yourself, right? Morel, right? King 6464, right? One Rugro Garden, big up yourself, Arena, blessings, and at Glenn Samuel, blessings. Yes, this morning is love you, Pamela. This morning, right, we have some deep concerns, and I just want to build the background before I, go into that. Right, we have gotten some aid, some assistance from the IMF, and let me just say this: that assistance is well needed. So let me just categorically state that. However, in terms of the way how the Prime Minister want to spin the narrative, right? The Prime Minister is way right out of his element. When I say that the Prime Minister is way out of his element, trust me, people, the Prime Minister is way out of his element. One of the first things that the Prime Minister need to understand that that amount of assistance that we are getting, right, it is going to rest on the burden on the shoulders of taxpayers. Andrew Holness, right, and your cabinet, right? It is not like, you know, the burden of responsibility bear down on you and your administration. It is the Jamaican citizen. And let me say this, Prime Minister, that what you need to understand. You have to understand that working together in a time like this is extremely important. And the same partisan politics that you are executing is not going to take us anywhere. Jamaica, while we are happy, right, for the assistance, right, it doesn't come with, you know, a situation that, okay, all right, you know, we are going to smile about, right? We find ourselves in a crisis, and I don't know how the Prime Minister wants to spin this in, but Jamaica, we are in a crisis. We are in a crisis. And the way the Prime Minister is spinning the narrative as it relates to fiscal discipline, right, which I pointed out on my last live, right, who really structured that fiscal discipline, where the Prime Minister just want to take it and put that on his administration, right? Prime Minister, you're wrong. That is partisan politics you're playing. You need to speak the truth, right? The structural nature of fiscal discipline done by the People's National Party, Portia Simpson and Peter Phillips. You have to speak in the language of togetherness than speaking to the language of I, and me. It needs to be the language that you need to speak into, right? Is we and us, right? We are not saying that your administration has not played a part. Your administration has played a part in terms of following the structure that Portia Simpson left behind and Peter Phillips. And that is the truth of the matter. And as I am saying here this morning, that you need, sir, to speak the language of togetherness. Why I am not happy. I have a bitter, and so let me just define it to say a bitter and sweet moment. Let me just define the sweet moment in terms of what, you know, dealing with the whole situation of the crisis and the assistance from IMF. Because of our fiscal discipline from 2013 until now, right? Yes, the IMF, right, came to our aid, right, in a very awesome way, and we are thankful. We are thankful because we need to set back our economy, re-energize our economy, right, and move forward. So we are thankful for that. Now, why am I worried? Why it is dangerous for us? Let me speak the truth. And this is what I would like as it relates to, you know, civil society. Speak out this concern, because this concern is extremely serious. Let me explain to you, my people, both locally and in the diaspora. It is extremely serious because of who at the helm. This time around, as it relates to how Bruce Golden, right, faulted on the economy, right, and caused a chaos as it relates to Bruce Golden administration, and Portia Simpson have to take over that and fix it. This is different. Trust me, Jamaican people, this is different. You know why it is different? Portia Simpson, right, is not a corrupted prime minister. Portia Simpson government is not a kleptocratic government. And as I am saying this, my heart is burning me because of the amount of loan that we are getting, which is very serious. Simple means that the person at the helm has to be 100% honest and have integrity to ensure that managing this loan and manage it well is imperative for the success of the nation. If Andrew Holness, I can tell you this, people, if Andrew Holness continues with his corruption, then guess what? Jamaica will never ever rise. And this is how serious that we want Andrew Holness to take away himself from this. It is imperative on all of us, Jamaica, that Andrew Holness is not at the control of this. It is that serious. Because the level of corruption, I am telling you, people, I am telling you. And guess what? I am 100% truthful and factual. You saw for yourself how Andrew Holness came out in Parliament, right, and spoke that his administration, right, managed corruption as it relates to being the lowest, and that the corruption perception index, and you can check all indices, right? It is saying that his administration, right, reduced corruption. The whole world know that it is lie. I have showed the CPI, every CPI, every index is clearly telling Andrew Holness that you are the most corrupted. You are the most corrupted. It is so bad with you, Andrew Holness. You did not slip one place downwards. You did not slip 2 places downwards. You did not slip 3 places downward. The corruption index have you slip 4 places downward. 4 places downward. This is dangerous. The corruption index is saying to you, Andrew Holness, your administration is extremely, extremely, extremely corrupt. That is what the corruption index, and you notice, no Big Mama can oppose what I say. None of them can come out and oppose it because they know it is true. So don't cement this, right? There is nothing victorious in terms of IMF, right? Giving us this amount of aid. As a matter of fact, we shouldn't be in a position to be taking so much aid if we did not have a situation as it relates to over $3 trillion unaccounted for. That is one of the first things that you have to acknowledge, Andrew Holness. We would need that amount. We cannot prevent any act of nature. We cannot prevent any act of nature. So I am not blaming your administration as it relates to what happened with Melissa. If Mark Golden was the prime minister, right, Melissa would still be Melissa. And the damage would have still done. The difference is the leadership at the helm during this crisis. Andrew Holness, you know for sure. Civil society, I'm calling upon you. Jamaica for Justice, I am calling upon you. You know for sure that this person is not supposed to be at the helm during this crisis. Andrew Holness, you know that from the heart of your heart. You, sir, being at the helm and continue your evil, you are going to put us back right in slavery. You are going to put us back trust me, more than 50 years. That's how dangerous this is with you. Now, let me just get into the program and have the people listen to you, because, you know, I just want to set the background that this is nothing for us to be merry about as it relates to how Big Mama is spinning it, and as to the way how you are spinning it, Andrew Holness. This is serious for the Jamaican people, because you know very well that from this loan, austerity measures are going to imply. You know that, Andrew Holness. You know that inflation is going to increase. You know this, Andrew Holness. All of this is going to go on the shoulder of my brothers and sisters and generation to come, Andrew Holness. Don't spin this like this is something to smile about, or this is something to shake that I wish you. Come on. Don't do that. You're not talking to, look, Andrew Holness, you're in a time and space, right? Where you're talking to several intellectual communities. Don't believe, look here, you are not in the dinosaurial stage of politics anymore. And I'm warning you about these things. Your politics is still dinosaurial. The conventional politics that you have been utilizing is very serious to the modern time. Everything you speak, sir, can be fact-checked. Can be fact-checked in real time. Who you think you're fooling? You're only fooling yourself because you only believe that, okay, you're politically smart. The only persons who you are going to be able to fool are persons who eating out of the trough, where you are not fooling them. You understand? They are using you because, of course, you are giving them benefits, just like Big Mama. Big Mama know very well that everything that you have been doing is wrong, no matter how he tried to sell it. But he has to sell it because he knows very well that if he goes against you, Andrew Holness, he owes the country's revenue $1.8 billion. And Big Mama doesn't want you to come down on him. And so then Big Mama is defending his livelihood. Jamaica, listen to me. Big Mama is defending its livelihood. NNN is defending its livelihood. Ask NNN to deny what I am saying. NNN, you owed the country's revenue. And that's plain and simple. That's plain and simple, and that's the truth. That's the fact. Let us get into the business of the day, right? Let us share, because we don't have any time to be in the foolishness, right? Let us share this, my Jamaican people. Let us listen here. Let us listen up.
Plus financing announced yesterday has three main components. US $3.6 billion in sovereign debt financing. This is for the government to execute the National Recovery and Reconstruction Program over the next 3 years, and includes up to $1 billion each from the World Bank, IDB, and CAF. US $415 million from the IMF under the large natural disaster window of the RFI, and US $200 million from the CDB, the Caribbean Development Bank. The second component of funding would be US $2.4 billion in private capital mobilization. IDB Invest, the International Finance Corporation, and the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency will mobilize private investment through public-private partnership models. Madam Speaker, It is important to note that mobilizing private capital will be critical not only to scale up recovery efforts, but also to preserve fiscal space. It is not intended for the sovereign debt pool, and the private financing pool will operate independent of each other. The plan is to use innovative public-private partnership solutions and structures that blend public and private finance and expertise throughout the recovery and reconstruction process. The third component would be grants and technical assistance. The third important component of the overall financing package would see the 5 institutions committing to provide technical assistance and policy advice services. They would provide, Madam Speaker, policy advisory services, which would be funded by grants that draw on global experience and best practices in disaster response. So far, US $12 million in grants would have already been mobilized from the IDB, the World Bank Group, and the CAF, with more to come. These 3 components, in addition to the US $662 million that was already available, is what makes up the overall financing package of $6.7 billion US dollars. This is the single largest and most comprehensive development financing package ever assembled for Jamaica. It gives us the liquidity, the fiscal space, and the multi-year investment framework required to rebuild stronger and more secure for our future. Securing support of this magnitude within 1 month of Hurricane Melissa is nothing short of historic. It reflects sustained, direct, and proactive engagement at the highest level. The US $6.7 billion financing announced yesterday has 3 main components.
Let us stop sharing and let me talk to the Prime Minister, and I'm going to bring in Melting Pot here. Let me say this again, categorically clear. Let me say this. Andrew Holness, and again, let me say thanks to IMF to assist us. This again is the reason why we cannot trust you, Andrew Holness, the narrative that you're showing. And you are extremely stupid. You are saying this is the largest ever financing for Jamaica. It has to be the largest. I'm about to call it Donald Trump, and for good reason. Andrew Holness, yes, it is going to be the largest. Let me show you how simple of a baby you are. Why is it the largest? Because it is the first, sir, in our history that we have a category 5 that hit us in such a devastating way that damaged roughly 7 parishes and wipe out 40% of our GDP. Let me ask you a question. Has this ever happened before? Has this ever happened before? So when you get up in Parliament and this is the largest financing for Jamaica, what did you achieve from that? What did you achieve? It is the first time in history under your administration where we have a category 5 that hit us at 185 miles per hour, wiping out 40% of our GDP. Let me ask you a question, Andrew Holness. Have it ever happened before? No. So what's the bullshit are you talking about? But that goes to say what? What it goes to say? Trying to gain what? Political mileage? What is it? What is it are you trying to say? What is it are you trying to pass on to the public? Stupid. Now, let me say why we are scared. And let me say, Jamaica, I am scared as hell. Scared as hell that Andrew Holness is not there. You know why I'm scared? Andrew Holness is a simple thief. He's a simple thief. Cannot help himself. Why he cannot help himself? Let me remind you, Andrew Holness. You have got money for charity. And you have converted that to your personal use. This is dishonest of you. And if the Integrity Commission investigators didn't call you out, you'd have gotten away with it. How can anyone trust you? Your statutory declaration up until this point cannot be certified. You're a thief. You're a thief, Andrew Holness. You are a criminal. And I'm not going around any bend. I am not those who in institutions that you can suppress and you can abuse. I am independent. I'm an information processor. And so then I'm going to speak freely. You're a thief. Let me just keep back and put Melting Pot. Melting Pot, what say you in the matter?
Well, this is a matter of concern, as it relates to the size of borrowing. Yeah. And why I say that is because I know for a fact what will be the ramification in years to come. Simply because this 6.7 billion that Andrew and his cabinet member has been waxing lyrically in Parliament about as if it's like Merry Christmas come. I want to tell him that there's nothing merry about this 6.7 billion. And where Jamaica is concerned, there will be no Merry Christmas this December. So there's nothing merry going on in Jamaica right now. Because the reality of everything is that Andrew Wallace is playing a game of golf with Jamaican people. And I want to use this narrative so people can understand, in a simple way what I'm trying to say to them. Now, golf is a rich man game. It's not been played by poor people. Yeah, it's hardly even include black people, apart from the exception of Tiger Woods that broke the trend. Now, golf belongs to the capitalists them, and that's a game Andrew choose to play. You don't choose to play cricket, football, netball, and all those games that ordinary people can play. But what Andrew Holness has done, he has bypassed under par, he has bypassed par, he has bypassed over par, he has bypassed eagle, he has bypassed hole in one. Yeah. And what him do? Him fling Jamaica and the people in a hole in one. And you see albatross, that's where Andrew Holness control the whole of the relief fund. That's the albatross. That is why Andrew Holness don't want the People's National Party to be a part of no committee presiding over this. That is why Andrew Holness waxing lyrical about 6.7 billion. Because him have a lot of money now. Because Andrew did broke the country, Andrew broke the country, dry the country. Because even the 6.2 billion that Flavor talking about in the net reserve, I don't think that is in the net reserve. Because 6.2 is not far away from 6.7 billion when we borrow to put high austerity measure and high inflation for the people. And I mean, remember, my Jamaican, we already were 2.4 to $5 trillion already. Now, when you put this 6.7 billion US on top of that 2.4 to 5 trillion, Jamaica is in a hole in one. And Andrew Holness alone run down with the albatross. God, that's where we're going to steal the vast amount of this money. Yeah, because he never have so much money at his disposal. And the simple reason why Jamaica has never faced a category 5 hurricane to trigger this type of investment. So when Andrew Wallace is painting some narrative, Andrew Wallace is a baby brain. It's a baby brain because it's not like him do something to achieve the $6.7 billion. Something happened devastatedly to the island. A hurricane of a category 5 with a maximum wind speed of 185 miles an hour, where the eye directly passed over the island, destroying almost 7 parishes, wipe them out completely, and leaving a trail of destruction behind. So the size of the investment to repair the damage must be higher than any other package that come for investment towards restoration after a hurricane or a storm. So Andrew Wallace is the only painting a narrative as if, well, he did something to, merit this award of $6.7 billion US.
Exactly, melting pot. Exactly. That's the point. Crazy.
Yeah, Andrew out of touch with the reality, But as I say, Andrew gone with the albatross. Because all the lyrics we hear me talk about, that the IMF, the World Bank, the International Development Bank, and leaders from outside Jamaica have been saying about Jamaica and how Jamaica is a model and all of these lyrics. I'm telling you, my Jamaican people, Jamaica is a food basket with capitalists. So the capitalists will back this garbage administration. They will say things that they are not privy to, as it relates to Andrew Wallace talking about the society being one that, have a low rate in terms of corruption and low unemployment and all these type of things. They will say that because we hear even the lady from the World Bank was, giving appraisal to Andrew Wallace when she's not privy to what is really happening under Andrew Wallace. Because under Andrew Wallace, administration, Jamaica has slipped, yeah, and the CPI index slipped from 44 to 40. But here is Andrew Wallace thinking that the closer you get to zero is the better performance. No, Andrew Wallace, you're reading the thing back here because you don't have the ability to even comprehend with the CPI index. So we know you like to talk a lot of PR and present a lot of garbage. Yeah, and you use people like Big Mama and Dras Davis to spew the lie on top of the lies that you already told. So we are just looking at Andrew Wallace now and his administration sinking the country and the people in a hole-in-one and running off with the albatross. Yeah, and we have to make sure Andrew Wallace realize that we over here as independent, journalists, we will hold you accountable because we are not going to be like the mainstream media who protect your garbage and your lie and your corruption, who don't question you in relation to, what is there to be questioned, who just ask question and listen to your answers of lie and garbage and propaganda. Yeah, so we are going to hold you accountable because I'm going to ask a few questions as it relates to the $6.7 billion because I didn't hear this. I don't hear what percentage the $6.7 billion come with in terms of what IMF, World Bank, IDB, and all these places want back on the money. What is the interest rate on this loan? You're waxing lyrical about the 6.7 billion, but you have never said what the interest rate is. Yeah? You're only speaking about the grace period that you have in the fiscal discipline side of things, where they're gonna relax it for over basically a 5-year period between now and 2030 fiscal year, 2029, 2030 fiscal year. But then after that, what happens? We need to know what is the interest rate on the borrowing of this $6.7 billion. You have mentioned anything about that? The Minister Minister of Finance have mentioned anything about that. So what is the secret in regard to the interest rate? Because this is where it hurt Jamaica. It's not like you get something to borrow and you're going to give it back at a flat rate of borrowing. This comes with high austerity and high inflation. And this is not good for Jamaica on top of the $2.4 to $5 trillion that we already owe to the international lenders. And where fiscal discipline is concerned, that give you the option to go and speak to these money lending agency. That was done by Portia Simpson and Peter Phillips as far back as from 2013. You are only maintaining the structure that is in place. And you had to maintain that structure. You couldn't go back to the basic that you and Bruce Golden did, where you rack up 14 consecutive quarters, where you did not pay IMF anything. And at the end of that, you and Bruce Golden refused to even communicate with IMF, forcing Mama P and Peter Phillips to crawl upon them knee and seek the aid of Maxine Walters, the congresswoman. And she also have to go and speak to some of her friends in high authority to form a consortium to speak to IMF. Or else Jamaica would be, below 80 long time. So what you are merely exercising, the state that you are performing on, is Mama P stage, is the People's National Party stage you're performing on. And you're trying to take credit. You didn't build that platform. As a matter of fact, you build a different platform. Because when Patterson wipe out the IMF debt, and clear the slate, you and Bruce Golden start to borrow and borrow recklessly, and put back Jamaica in the red. And you put Jamaica in the red to an extent where it was so bad that IMF blacklisted the country. Mama P, Peter Phillips, Sir Marky G, them have to leave as a delegation and face a head-on collision with IMF. IMF pushed them back. And through, the skill and the knowledge and the expertise of that delegation team, they get in contact with Maxine Walters, using Maxine Walters as a pivotal intervention within the negotiation, and she also had to start a few of her high official friends to lobby on behalf of Jamaica for IMF to give Jamaica a new plan, and that plan come with a lot of austerity. Mama P had to come back and freeze wages for a period of time. She had to go into the National Housing Trust and take out that side of money, shore up the local economy. And Jamaica had to embark upon a fiscal discipline plan that was negotiated between Portia Simpson, Dr. Peter Phillips, Congresswoman Maxine Walters, and the IMF. So when you come and you speak in your lie, we just want to set the record straight. And Jamaica should not be in a crisis where we have to be drawing down this vast amount of money. Because when you speak about corruption, you are not the man supposed to be speaking about corruption. Because your record has not been expunged. When it comes to corruption and criminality, you have a record that has not been expunged. You understand? And you shouldn't be entrusted with the country finance to the extent where you have this vast amount of money at your disposal. And you don't want any form of oversight committee to provide any form of checks and balance in regard to the operation and how the money is being utilized and spent. So we are looking at you as a guy who we have to have cause for concern in managing the country's affairs. I've told you before on several occasions, you are not Prime Minister material. You're not surplus to requirement, and I won't stop saying this until you leave the office. Because your management has been deplorable to the extent where it comes with a lot of controversy. where your name has been mentioned in all various type of illegal activities as a prime minister.
Yeah. All right.
And so,
Melting Pot, use 1 more minute to wrap up everything because the program big and we want for
all right,
everybody to get that. So just use
yeah,
1
man,
more
yeah,
minute.
man. All right, I wrap it up. Yeah, and so in that regard, I don't see you credible enough to manage the country financial affair. And where you are putting in these type of various measures, I find it laughable. Yeah, because in a crisis time, ADPEM, which was created by Michael Manley, should never have been dismantled. Where put an army personnel who only takes order, and we find that very, very bad. It's a sad state the country is in at the moment, and we just need some direction, new direction. Yeah, and I yield back the floor to you, my brother.
All right. Thank you, Melting Pot. The points, wonderful punch there, right? And the information, factual, right? They can't go around that, right? Because we have everything that you have spoken, we have information, we have the source to back that up. Having said that, right? Angie Blee 633 put up something there that was partially what I am going to go into next. Right? And here is Angie Blee said, wow, IMF are not the small countries. They take advantage, cash cow, right? IMF grab, Jamaica is broke. Now, all right. First and foremost, right, Angie, we are thankful for the IMF to come into a time where we really need that. But in terms of what you have said, right, it goes back again, Angie, goes back again, that it all depends on the person who at the helm. And I started it because of that we want to speak about as it relates to how careful we need to be with our lenders, right? It is the same way how the BRI operated, right, in terms of the Belt and Road Initiative from the China loaning agencies, right? Now, if you have a government that is corrupted, right, it simply means you have difficulty in paying back your loans. And you have difficulty, right, in terms of, certified certain programs, right, and fix the country, right, structures, you understand, that will make us more economic viable. And so then what corruption does, corruption eat away all of those advantages. And this is one of the reasons why I'm saying Jamaica, we are in such a serious dilemma having a kleptocratic government in power. And this is no joke. I am going to read something as it relates to what Angie Blee is giving reference to. And thank you, Angie, right, for that input. Remember, I tell you that we have some very much, highly intelligent people, what chat, right? The Lansdowne, right? The Pamela McCullough, right? Most of the people in our chat. Me don't want to start calling you and getting in trouble. No one, you understand? But majority of those who are communicating in our chat, right? Trust me, they know what is going on. They're well aware. And remember, it is not my only. The Mystic Sensation platform is not that platform. The only platform my people go on. They go around platforms. They get the various information. So all of the people, where you see in my chat room right now, right, they are well in tune. You understand? Them gone through Rattigan, them gone through Lonesome, right? Them gone through Andre, them gone through Talk Your Mind, them gone through various, so them well rounded, them well rounded, and we are happy for that. We are happy for that. Now let us get into, right, this document in terms of what Angie Blee, right, is making reference to, right? Because we have that document in there, so it seems like Angie Blee is actually preempting us this morning. It is the second document that I have up there, Angie Blee. So let us just get into that and we read that. Just to show, right, Andrew Holness, that this is not something that you need to glee about. Jamaica is in trouble and The burden is on taxpayers, not you, not on you, Andrew Holness, not on you. Let us share this document in terms of what we have there. Now, here it is, people. This is by Jake Johnson. Jamaica economy has long suffered from low growth and high debt over the past 20 years. Average annual per capita GDP growth has been negative 0.1%. The lowest in the Caribbean outside of Haiti, and that is a fact. The world recession caused even greater economic hardship in Jamaica, with GDP falling in 4 of the last 5 years. Unemployment has increased to 14.2% from less than 10% in 2008. The poverty rate has nearly doubled. The gap between rich and poor has gotten larger. So when we have Wayne Henry coming out and telling lies, right? We are talking about, right, the truth. We are not going to spin a narrative, and it is so sad when you have institutions fall a prey of Andrew Holness victimization, and now he now has to sing for his money, because he knows very well that if he doesn't come out and lie for Andrew Holness, he's going to be fired, and that is so sad. This is why we say corruption take away from us our future. It robs our future. And not only that, corruption robs our future. We have witnessed evidence that Andrew Holness also robbed our democracy. That is one of the reasons why Imam Paul Buchanan right in court today, and we will hear some relief on Monday to understand where is it going if we are going to go into a by-election, and we will want to go into a by-election. Because if it goes into a by-election, Andrew Holness can't win, you know. You understand? Before, so me bleach day and night. Me bleach day and night for talk on this. Throughout this time, multilateral development banks, in particular, the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and Inter-American Development Bank, have played a key role in early 2010 in an effort to address its unsustainable debt burden, and as a precondition for the IMF agreement. I want to listen now, people. Jamaica undertook a debt exchange that sought to lower interest rate and extend maturities, but did not provide any haircut, a lowering of debt principal. And remember, 2010 is under Bruce Golding. So we just coming out with the facts, you understand, and we are just give the reminder that in early 2010, that is Bruce Golding government. The subsequent IMF loan worth 1.27 billion unlocked additional funding from the World Bank and IDP, together amounting to well over $2 billion. As a part of the IMF agreement, Jamaica undertook severe austerity measures, freezing wages and cutting spending, because that is what the IMF normally do. So then Jamaica, when they hear Andrew Holness, you understand, seems like, okay, a Merry Christmas. You understand, and that's something that you need to clear about. It is not, because the IMF program, you understand, is going to cut many social programs, and simply means that many of our roads are not going to be fixed. Andrew Holness need to come out and speak these things. Several social programs are going to be affected as it relates to the amount of loan that we are getting, $6.7 billion. It is going to affect several social programs. And you know this, civil society know this, and all of them know this. PSOJ know this. You understand that inflation is going to rise. Our dollar is going to again devalue. So within the next couple of months, our dollar is on its merry way, moving to the 200 mile. Andrew Holness, these are the things that you need to speak on. And when it goes near there, what is going to happen? The cost of living is going to exponentially high on Jamaican people. You know what we are talking about, Andrew Holness. This is not something that you ever to clear about. And as a matter of fact, right, the structural engineering of fiscal discipline was not done by you. This is the truth. And you need to tell the people the truth. So again, in every circumstances, we just cannot trust you. And we have every reason, right, to not trust you. Now let me say this to you, Andrew Holness, and say this to the public. If I am telling lie, why you don't put out a lawsuit for me? If everything that I am saying here, I am lying about, why you don't defend it? Why you don't defend it? Everything that we are saying is true. And you know, even after the debt exchange, Jamaica was left with the highest debt interest burden in the world. Interest payment alone mounted to 11% of GDP. Well, it is going to be worse now, people. It is going to be worse than what I am reading out for you. That's why I brought this document. And see that? You understand? One of my whiz kid in my chat, you understand? Put it up. Speak, preempt me on this. Right? Because as if she knows that, of course, Mystic Sensation have this. The IMF agreement eventually broke down after a Jamaican court ruled that the government had to distribute back pay to public sector workers against the wishes of the IMF. Nevertheless, Jamaica has largely continued the austerity measures from the first agreement. After a return to growth, albeit slow in physical year 2011 to 2012, so Andrew Holness me come out with this for teacher history, you know, right? For teacher history and tell the people the truth. To bear up for this, Jamaican people, gear up, gear up, gear up, gear up. Jamaica slipped back into a recession this past year after the government cut non-interest expenditure by over 2% points of GDP. Even some within the IMF warned that the physical consolidation efforts were going too far and could threaten the fragile recovery and social cohesion. This is under the Jamaica Labour Party, you know. Under the Jamaica Labour Party, you know. 3 years after the IMF agreement was signed and the debt exchange completed, Jamaica once again turned to the IMF, you understand, and undertook a new exchange. Once again, the exchange only affected domestically held debt and did not reduce the principal. Once again, the conditions may prove unsustainable. The IMF is requiring Jamaica to run primary surpluses, revenue minus expenditures, excluding interest costs of 7.5%. Let us stop, share that, and of course, take this document away and let us speak on this matter, right, where we left off. And we know Jamaican people, right, as it relates to what transpired there, right? So he left it right to say, right, as it relates to Jamaica Labour Party administration, the chaos during that time. And who saved Jamaica? Who saved Jamaica? It was Portia Simpson, in spite of all what looked impossible, in spite of the mountain of hardship. Portia Simpson and Dr. Peter Phillips, right, had definitely went into the jungle and take on the lion itself and came out successfully. Now, that is what being used as a case study. Let me remind Andrew Holness who talk about case study. The case study that you are speaking about is that. That is the case study that IMF took and said, because remember, even when Portia Simpson and Peter Phillips had gotten the IMF loan, the IMF believed that they would not make it. Remember, Andrew Holness. Let me talk to Jamaican people. The IMF, as a matter of fact, said categorically clear that there's no way that they are going to survive. But what happened? What happened? They survived. They survived. Portia Simpson and Peter Phillips survived. And that was used as a case study And now you're in Parliament. Now you're in Parliament. Speak the truth, no man. Speak the truth, no man. Speak the truth that what Portia Simpson and Peter Phillips had done has now been used as a case study for IMF. The case study has nothing to do with your administration and Nigel Clark. It has nothing to do with that. What Nigel Clark had done, right, as it relates to your administration, and I'm not saying that your administration has not done anything. I would be unfair in saying that. I would be definitely unfair in saying that. Yes, your administration maintained the path of success as it relates to bringing down the debt to GDP ratio. But remember now that when Mama Portia Simpson started it, the debt per GDP ratio was 147. But Mama P, you understand? I mean, remember, you know, Mama P only do 5 years, you know. And the 5 years, let me teach you, Andrew Holness, because you're talking to the professor. Let me talk to you. You're talking to the professors, me and Melting Pot. So let me teach you this. When Mama P, 6 years, 5 years, Mama P took 5 years. And within the 5 years, Mama P turned around the economy, put it back from the pit of the abyss. And not only that, she put it back from the pit of the abyss. Mama P took down the debt per GDP ratio from 140 yard to 120 yard. You remember that, Andrew Holness? You try and remember that. You try and know that within 5 years. So tell me now, you tell me now, that if Mama P, the biggest mistake Jamaica has ever made, is to vote out Portia Simpson. Let me take off my glasses. The biggest mistake that Jamaica has ever made, that today handicap them so much, today cripple them so much. The day that you voted out Portia Simpson, you are paying for that. If Portia Simpson was there, let me tell you, one of the things that would have never happened, we wouldn't have first to commence $3 trillion unaccounted for. We wouldn't. We wouldn't. We wouldn't have $3 trillion unaccounted for. So that within itself would have bring our economy forward, farther than where we reach. Let me tell you something, Andrew Holness. The level where you reach as it relates to 60% debt per GDP. Mama Portia Simpson would have done much better. And the Jamaican people would strive. Because $3 trillion wouldn't be unaccounted for. Civil society, I'm speaking to you. You need to come out and speak out. Because you know it is true. You know what I'm saying is truthfulness. Jamaica for Justice. Where are you? The umbrella group of churches, where are you to speak out? The Jamaican people have every right to worry themselves as a result of who is at the end dealing with this crisis. And this is no joke. Hurricane Melissa had caused us a very serious crisis. But with Andrew Holness at the helm, it is times the ratio of 3. Because what Andrew Holness is doing now, I am saying Jamaica, wake up. Wake up. Melting Pot, come in and jog upon this.
Yes, and I mean, well said, Sir Byron. mean, just the word case in point, yeah, as it relates to how Andrew Holness perceive IMF, in the way they relate to Jamaica and the fiscal side of discipline. I mean, the case in study was already the model of Portia Simpson. So I like how you set that record straight. Yeah? And as it relates to the GDP, that 5-year period that Portia Simpson did as Prime Minister of the country, she reduced the GDP to 26% downward. Yeah? From 147 to 121. Okay? And I mean, as the rightfully said, Sir Byron, at Jamaica people not made a mistake, yeah, and fall for Andrew Holness lies, trick and con. In the 2016 general election, Jamaica would be in a better place because the $3 trillion would exist and could have done a lot of work in the recovery and restoration program that Jamaica so desire at this point in time. And so Jamaica wouldn't have to be in a critical state where it had to go and start such a high financial aid package of $6.7 billion. No, we would have not gone down that road. Yeah, because when you have a leader that care for the nation on a long-term basis, that's when you have a leader who has a heart. Andrew Holness is reckless. Yes, very reckless. He's a callous individual, and he's a man that will stop at no length and breadth to destroy Jamaica and Jamaican people life. And this loan package is one such commodity. It will certainly destroy the Jamaican people life for generation upon generation upon generation. Because when you put this $6.7 billion US aid package on top of the $2.5 trillion that already exists in foreign debt that Jamaica owes to foreign lenders, this is grave situation for Jamaicans generation upon generation upon generation to come. And so we all know that the international lending partners, when they lend you money, they expect to get return. Yeah, that's what keep them business afloat. That's why you see the BRICS now becomes a controversy alongside the US dollars. Because for a long time, it's just the IMF, the World Bank, and the Interdevelopment Bank, IDB. Those were the three major lenders. And so the capitalists, they used to have a wheel of a time because they were the primary lenders to countries around the world. And they were raking in millions and billions in profit annually, yeah, from every country that they lend to. But now the competition arises with the brisk. So this is one of the reasons why Jamaica could get this vast amount in lending. Because I mean, when you have competitors in the market now, when you get a client, you have to maximize what you can make from that client. And so the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and the IDB Bank, they maximize what they can get out of Jamaica throughout this period in time by offering this $6.7 billion loan package at high exorbitant rate that the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance has not outlined to us. What are the terms and conditions surrounding this $6.7 billion? What is the interest rate? What is the austerity measure that has been, asked to be undertaken by the government from the lenders? Because they will do that as part of the criteria. Because they want to make sure now that the government can maintain a fiscal discipline so that the loan can be paid. And so social intervention is going to suffer, like the program them that we have, like the healthcare system, road as Byron rightly pointed out. Yeah, community center, if there was one to be built, that have to put back on the back burner. Yeah, because IMF dictate what goes on in the country, especially on the back of this $6.7 billion US aid package. So it's nothing to celebrate about. Yeah, the type of, celebration that I saw was a celebration of some greedy people, yeah, who destroy their own savings and now get a borrowings. And we're glad to have money at their disposal so that they can continue the lifestyle that they have pursued ever since they take office. Yeah, over a decade of mismanagement and corruption. This is why all of them are, people who are in the category of under investigation in terms of accredited certification in terms of their wealth cannot be certified. Many of this cabinet that Andrew Holness presided over, yeah, there are people who are under investigation, serious investigation for illicit enrichment, and this is as a matter of fact that they have been indulging in corruption, nepotism, and cronyism. So when you give them this big, chunk of money, we know we have to have eyes on Andrew Holness. Checks and balance have to be done on Andrew Holness because Andrew Holness will not stop at any length and breadth, yeah, to carry out what he always practiced. And so we know that, this is a cause for concern, yeah, because we are seeing the problem already. We are seeing the slow distribution. We have seen that there is no plan in place at this point in time. I remember Melissa was on the 28th of October. We finished November and we commenced December. But there is no actual, plan that has been rolled out that has commenced. The Prime Minister is saying that he's doing a procurement at the moment. Yeah. So I want to know why the program has, moved at such a snail pace in the recovery and the restoration. Yeah. And why only sector in society that I hear the government speak about is to get back the private sector, rolling again. But in terms of the majority of people who suffer damage and losses, there is literally nothing mentioned about, the restoration of housing. When that will commence, we are hearing about container house. When we know that people have good house that just need some form of restoration like roof and all these things and cleaning up around the environment. It's not all the houses are fully destroyed. So that restoration program should have commenced. Yeah, and that should have commenced from out of the $6.2 billion that we hear is in the net reserve. That 6.2 billion should have actually used to utilize and kickstart that program. And then if you have a proper financial structure in place by a government, yeah, then after you do a certain amount of work, you can now assess the amount of borrowing that you need. But what the government does is, listen to what the World Bank, yeah, and those people project as what the estimated damage is in Jamaica. And they work for the World Bank. They don't do any assessment of their own. Now I'm telling you that the World Bank is now looking for people to come and borrow from them. Because what that will do, that will tie country to the US dollar and prevent those countries from going to the BRICS. So they have the money there, they're gonna give Andrew Holness if more than the 6.7 billion if him did one. And that is not basically on the back of the fiscal discipline that I'm talking about, because that is a structure that has been maintained. It's simply the fact that you have to now get people to borrow the money from those entities, yeah, because of the competition in the market with the BRICS. So we know what is going on, but what we want to hear from Andrew Holness and the finance minister, what are the terms and conditions? Yeah, because the people need to be brief in that regard. We have to have an idea of what the terms and conditions are. We can just let that slip and stay in the dark. That must be brought to light. And that is a given by any administration. Yeah, you must report to the people of the country what are the terms and conditions. It can't just you celebrating the $6.7 billion, but we don't hear the criteria surrounding the $6.7 billion. Yeah, we have to know what are the criteria. People have to know so that they can prepare, so that me and Byron and Wayne Lonesome can tell them, well, look, prepare. Because on the back of so many lies, our Jamaican people have to make preparation on their own behalf. Because when you hear a country slip into recession, but then you can have the PIOJ, yeah, who is being represented by a certain individual named Wayne Henry, come out and tell you that the economy grew 4.9%. There is no country in the world that gone into recession that their economy grew 4.9%. But I know why Andrew Holness and Wayne Henry come up with that. Because that will now, say to Jamaican that you can remember the 4 and 5. I mean the 5 and 4. 5 and 4, yeah. Andrew Holness want to take claim now, say, well, him grow the economy to that extent, But because of Melissa. No, we do have a 4.9 growth in our economy. No way when the country gone into recession. So we know a lot of lies being told, yeah, and people being paid to tell lies. People from high society where civil servant is concerned. Yeah, a lot of civil society people are lying for this government. I don't know if because of threat of their job or what it is or affiliation to the party. Yeah, but we are getting too much lies coming from government and from civil society. And, that must be something that we have to eradicate out of the society. Because lie cannot, propel the nation. Yeah, a government cannot structure its policy on the back of lies. Because then, nothing will happen. And we need to see Jamaica start to grow. So he's now waxing lyrical that this $6.7 billion is now a time for Jamaica to shine, to mobilize a lot of fiscal space where, they could have not accomplished. Now they have the money now because a lot of plans, company plans are on the back burner because of, fiscal discipline. They could not institute those type of plans. No, they can't do it. So I'm just hoping and, and see if what he said gonna come to tuition because he's talking about a boom. But if the boom, come on board, let's see how much Jamaican will participate in this exciting project that Andrew Holness have in his back of his mind. Because we know for a fact the only way the economy can grow, yeah, is if when the work is being rolled out, the Jamaican are fully participant of that program. That cannot be done to incorporate foreign workers as we're seeing happening. This hurricane project that Jamaica has to undertake, Jamaican must participate in it 100% because it's Jamaican who will have to pay back the high debt as it relates to the interest and the loan. So there's no way any foreign workers can come in. Yeah? Because certainly we have our workmen in Jamaica and women alike who can undertake the work. So I'm just hoping that the Prime Minister, after waxing lyrical about the $6.7 billion and saying that, the restoration program will, compass a wide range of development in the country. Well, if that be the case, let's see how much Jamaican is put to work. I yield back the floor to you, my brother.
All right, blessed, melting pot right then and there. Now, as Amanda Bryant said, good evening, Uncle Byron and Sir Melting Pot. Uncle Byron, please, can you explain the difference between Andrew Holness capitalist government versus a democratic socialist such as MP Thanks. Let me just kind that into my own word, dealing with democratic socialism. Right? Democratic socialism means the opportunity, right, in unity must be created to spread opportunity equally throughout the length and breadth of Jamaica. This sort of political philosophy tied to a particular economic model, which is the mixed economic model, where the government and private sectors, right, meet to make decisions, right, that work in the interests of the people. Now, unlike right? Capitalism, right? And let me break it down into my own terms, right? Private individuals or a corporation drive the market, right? Which can lead, let me say that, which can lead to crony capitalism, where the opportunity for the future development are not spread evenly. This tied to what we call trickle-down economics. You understand? Where only the elites, right, benefited and the masses, right, suffers, right? And they believe that, okay, for the betterment of everyone, right, the elites have to be benefited first, everything have to okay with them, and then it trickle down to the bottom, right? That sort of philosophy has never worked nowhere, right? And that is one of the reasons why when you have crony capitalists like Andrew Holness administration, definitely crony capitalist, right? I mean, all sort of things, kleptocratic government, banana republic, you understand? Anything that you can define, you know, when a government gone rogue. And that is, you understand, Andrew Holness. I hope that mean something to you. But let me share, right, and thank you, Melting Pot, for those inputs. Wonderful. Let me share something again in terms of why we have to be serious and we have to be worried in terms of Andrew Holness at the head. I'm going to share a clip with you, right? And I want you to listen keenly because this affects all, I mean, globally, right? This is just not, right, unique to Jamaica, right? The general concept in terms of defining, you understand, the impact of corruption, right? It is really devastating. Think of what I'm saying, that we have a country is so corrupted, like Andrew Holness administration, it can have more serious implication than what a Melissa caused. Let me give you the example. Because one would say, Byron, you're exaggerating. No, I am not exaggerating. No, if you look on the total cost right now as we speak, where Melissa is concerned, at max, we are looking at 2 trillion Jamaican dollars. At max. Right? At max. Let us ask the question. Let us ask this question. How much the Auditor General, as it relates to the Auditor General investigation, unaccounted for? The Auditor General, right, cannot give account for over $3 trillion. So let me ask the question. Isn't that more than the damage that Melissa caused? It is for you to answer. I'm just putting out the facts to you. So it goes to show, you know, if we should reverse that corruption. And that is one of the reasons why Singapore, right, had achieved that sort of what I call economic viability and success, right, where that is concerned, because one of the first things that Singapore recognized, that to move the country forward, they have to eliminate corruption. And remember that several politicians were sent to prison because of systems that were put in place. Now, if you look on the corruption index, that score sheet of 44 speaking to policy implementation. And that's why Andrew Holness must not fool the nation about that. The 44, it addresses policy position. So what Singapore had done, Singapore had implemented policies to deal with corruption. Just like how Mark Golden decided that, okay, I have to work on the Integrity Commission Act to deal with corruption. And so then that lifted Jamaica from 38 to 44, a 6% point that have never attained until Mark Golden had done that. And Andrew Holness needs to speak the truth about it. Andrew Holness now see that. Don't understand the CPI, what the CPI is saying. right? And using that to say his administration, right? He's not using the portion that says his administration, you understand, on the CPI index had fallen 4 places downwards. He didn't use that. He didn't use that. He came out and he lied to the people. But I am here. I am here in this space to guide and shine the light. If you notice, not one of them can come out after I said that, because they know that it is true. But they are wondering, Ratty George, somebody out there understand it? Yeah, man, I'm melting pot understand it and learn some. And we don't play it. You understand? We break it down. You understand? So that 44 speaks to policy implementation, and that is what Singapore has to do. And they have done that. Right? And not only that, they have done that in terms of implementing policy, right, to deal with the corruption. They actually deal with the corruption in terms of having those policy utilized to send many of those people in prison. So what we need to do now, and wish that we are not going to get under this Andrew Holness government, is to make nepotism, cronyism a criminal offense.
Definitely.
Now, if Andrew Holness administration now, you understand, crafted nepotism, cronyism as a criminal offense, and where, you understand, whatever fine come with that, you will see that corruption index 44 number jump up because policies are put in place. Right? You will see that jump up. Now, if Andrew Holness make a move to put in Impeachment Act, another layer of protection, you will see on the corruption index that 44 number goes up. So I want people to understand that when you come with it, tell him to go. Because you have dipped 4 places downwards to show that your administration is extremely corrupted. Go and cleanse yourself from corruption. You need to take yourself from out of the parliament. What the corruption index is telling you, Andrew Holness, because obviously you're ignorant, you're arrogant, and you don't understand it. It is telling you that your administration caused you to fall 4 places downward on the corruption index. Go and cleanse yourself. You need political cleansing. All right. So let us move and show you what corruption does and let you understand it. We are not playing around here.
Thedis Jonas, South Africa's deputy finance minister, faced a harrowing yet enticing decision. He had thought he was attending a normal business meeting, but ended up in the home of the powerful Gupta family, sitting with the Gupta brothers and the president, Jacob Zuma's son. Jonas was offered a promotion and $45 million. In return, he would be expected to use his position to advance the Gupta's many business interests. This included firing officials who opposed the construction of new power plants, which were slated to run on fuel from Gupta-owned mines. The deal was simple, but would Jonas accept? This kind of corruption in politics is nothing new. It plagued the ancient world. The Arthashastra, an Indian political treatise that dates back to the 3rd century BCE, lists 40 types of embezzlement alone. So, what exactly is corruption, and what can we do to combat it? Corruption is often defined as a misuse of a position of power for personal gain. For example, this could be a city clerk accepting bribes in exchange for issuing permits, or a mayor appointing a campaign donor to an influential position. But corruption isn't limited to the political sphere. It can happen in schools, sports, businesses, or religious institutions. In ancient Greece, the power-hungry Alcmaeonid family notoriously bribed the priestesses at Delphi to deliver false prophecies, like telling the Spartans they should invade Athens. It may seem like all corruption is driven by greed, but individual motives are often complex. There can be economic drivers, like family pressure on an underpaid civil servant who exaggerates his expenses to get more money back. This might not seem like a big problem, but corruption can snowball. If anti-corruption laws aren't enforced, or if loopholes are continuously exploited, a larger culture of corruption can emerge. For example, in 2009, numerous British MPs were exposed for using taxpayer money to cover personal expenses, from home renovations to luxury purchases, and even having a moat cleaned. And corruption isn't always directly about money. In 2016, a Department of Justice investigation found widespread patterns of unconstitutional policing, abuse, and corruption within the Baltimore Police Department. In just one elite task force, 8 officers were convicted of crimes including planting evidence and robbing citizens during traffic stops. Corruption like this causes people to lose faith in government and can deplete much-needed resources. The more taxpayer money that goes into people's pockets, the less there is to spend on services that benefit the community, like repairing roads, building schools, or providing health care. In the case of South Africa, the Gupta family plundered billions of dollars from the country's funds through their wide-ranging corruption schemes, devastating the nation's economy. In Baltimore, the police department cost taxpayers more than $22 million in court settlements and gravely eroded public trust. So, how can we prevent corruption? While it's important that laws set a high price for corrupt behavior, punishment is only one piece of the puzzle. Transparency in terms of budget and paper trails, and support for freedom of the press are hugely important. In Botswana, the government has built public trust through their ongoing commitment to respond to corruption openly, quickly, and decisively. In Denmark, government ministers must publish monthly reports cataloging their spending on entertainment, official travel, and any gifts they've received. As citizens, we can vote out those who engage in corruption and question officials who push back against transparency measures. And we can stand up against corruption when we see it. In South Africa, Jonas refused the Gupta's offer, and despite threats against his life, spoke out, exposing a sprawling web of corruption that toppled Zuma's regime and sent the Gupta family into exile. But it wasn't just Jonas' revelation that mattered. Once the scale of corruption was unearthed, everyday South Africans took to the streets, insisting that Zuma must fall. By using our civic voices, we can fight back to ensure that tax dollars don't line pockets, but instead benefit everyone. Healthy democracies rely on informed citizens. Unpack more democratic principles and jumpstart your own engagement at ed.ted.
All right. So that is what we are talking about, right? When we talk about, right, the 44 score on the corruption index, that laws must be passed as policy implementation to fight corruption. Now, let me ask and let me convict Andrew Holness. The court has found Dalrymple Filbert guilty. What did you do, Andrew Holness? You wash her off and you put her back in the parliament and in your cabinet. That is corruption, sir. The court is telling the world that Dalrymple Filbert is a dishonest person. But the Prime Minister is more dishonest than Dalrymple. So what the Prime Minister wants around him is a system where everyone is corrupted. And so then there's no shame in our game. Because all of them are defending, are fighting their own fight because they're all guilty of corruption. And that is when you know that a government like Andrew Holness gone rogue. Andrew Holness did not sign a code of conduct. Statutory declaration cannot be certified. Under his administration, so many persons under his administration dealing with the court. It goes to show you that Andrew Holness is extremely corrupted. So then Andrew Holness, don't come around here, you understand, and talking about the 44 and the corruption index. We know what that means. It is policy implementation. And from Mark Golden implemented that from 2017. From Mark Golden drafted it and you implemented it from 2017. Tell me, what did you do when Mark Golden also made recommendation for you to put in the impeachment bill, fight on the impeachment bill to legislate it in law? What did you do? Talk to talk. Because you come here to go on like and I tell lie. What did you do? You stop it. You stop it, Andrew Holness. You stop it. And why did you stop it? Because simple, you have a criminal mind. And simple, you're a criminal. And that's why you did it. The very same reason, you understand, as to why you put back that rimple. So what are you telling Jamaica? It's the very same reason why you go against the Corruption Act that deals with illicit enrichment. You want to wipe that out completely. If you had gotten through with that, Andrew Holness, that 44 that you're talking about would have been reduced because you just cancel a law that could prevent corruption. And guess what, Andrew Holness? You have attempted it. You have attempted it. It is the judge who built a moral compass. Look at it and say, no, it is not right. And I applaud that judge to step on the demon. So Andrew Holness, you must know that you are 100% evil. Of all the things that you have done, you're a very evil person. You cannot help yourself. And let me speak of what another evil, because I am investigating it, Andrew Holness. You had flown over, let me reason, I'm reasoning with Jamaican people, you know. I want Jamaican people to listen. I want critical thinkers to listen to me. Andrew Holness, you have flown over ground zero, right? You have witnessed, you have observed, you have seen the devastation. You have seen the dilemma. Now, Andrew Holness, this is a plan. You have gotten millions in donation. You have gotten tons of aids. You are going to tell me that, okay, as it relates to your critical thinking skill, to say, okay, all right, based on what we have gotten in terms of donation, and based on the fact that, okay, all right, so many homes have been destroyed, how quick can we get these people back under their roof? A roof over someone's head is important. Important. It builds back resilience, which you have spoken about, but you know nothing about resilience. You can't even define it. You don't know the definition of resilience. To build back resilience to the people. But you see an opportunity where your friends, right, can string off certain contracts as it relates to container homes. You have tried it before. Melissa is not the reason why you're trying it. You have tried it before. Speak the truth. And so then you're in the business. You're in the business. Well, if there is nothing else, tell me that you're not in the business. Estate Bridge did tell us that you and Edmund Bartlett wrapped up and tied up. And you also wrapped up and tied up into the container business. You know very well, no one has to say to you that with common decency, right? This is not rocket science. That you can stimulate the economy, giving back hope, building back resilience, in doing what? In doing what? Trigger the NHT, right? Go through as it relates to the construction, the normal construction, concrete, steel, and make those homes becomes hurricane proof by whatever code that you want to adjust to. In terms of getting the technocrats, speak quickly with the technocrats to say, okay, all right, this is it. Let us speak and move fast. The people need help. We have seen as it relates to what a category 5 can do. Now we have that experience. This is what I want to do now. Let us come with a particular building code that will make our building stronger to sustain a category 5. And put our men to work. Put our men to work. You know how many smiles that you would put on those faces, even although they are facing that dilemma. But it is not your interest. Your interest is to make them suffer, because the end result, it is that the means must justify the end as it relates to your plan, your premeditated plan in land grabbing. So you now plan to set up your bureaucracy. Your geo mapping. Because what it is going to come down to for people who used to own homes then, if they can't show as it relates to them having a title, they will not get any homes, and so then you will take over those land spaces. Tell the truth. That's where you're going. That's where you're going. That's where you're going. And so then your intention is not to do nothing that will give them a firm structure, because you know that deep down, that is not what you want. A firm structure is going to be diverted away from the cynical plan of evil that you have. Because your emphasis is on land grabbing. Corporate need to call you out. And even though the civil engineers begging you not to do containers, you know what you did? You sent 2 Panama sheet to TVJ to try to sell your containers. Even when the group of civil engineers, they are telling you no. But you want to continue the realm of your corruption. Now let me show you the evidence, people. I don't talk and I don't have evidence. Let me show you the evidence. Now let us get into engineer group advised to build with concrete. When we speak with evidence. Right? We speak with evidence. Now, Let us get into that. Let us point it out to the people, what they advise you to do. What is this? You block it. Okay, let me get back into this because, okay. All right. I am going to show the people from my phone because obviously we block it. So let me just move this out. Let me just clear out that. Stop sharing that. Okay. Let me just read from my phone because you're not going to stop. You're not going to stop me today. And let me just put it up as evidence to the camera. You understand? We have many ways to skin the cat in our Jonas. Many ways to skin the cat. So let me just get into this and show the people what I'm reading from that. Yes. Me now make up nothing out of my head. Right? Let me just show the people. Here it is, people. Right? Rebuild with concrete, not containers. Right? The engineers are telling him. Now let me read it now. Let me read it for you. Three of the leading construction and engineering groups in Jamaica are urging the government to prioritize permanent hurricane resilient housing over temporary container units as the country moves to rebuild following Hurricane Melissa. Let me put it up to the camera so the people can see. Here's the evidence. Here's the evidence, people. Here's the evidence. You can't stop my thing, you know. You can't stop my show. In a joint statement issued Wednesday, the Incorporated Master Builders Association of Jamaica, the Jamaica Institution of Engineers, and the Jamaican Institute of Architects called for a national shift. People to come. Right? Let me read it over again. In a joint statement issued Wednesday, the Incorporated Master Builders Association of Jamaica, the Jamaica Institution of Engineers, and the Jamaican Institute of Architects called for a national shift towards stronger construction methods as the foundation of long-term recovery. See the people. I'm up with you. We're not wrong. See the people. I'm up with you. You let me put it up. Right? So you tell me now, Andrew. You tell me. Now let me get into this. Okay. Hear what you saying here now. Listen to you.
We have examined pre-built, containerized modular solutions. And we have settled in our minds that this is appropriate for the Jamaican situation that we now have. There are different types, different versions. And so I've met with the NHD, and the NHD has provided us with a solution that they are presently working on. At a later stage, we'll go into more details, but the plan is for in the initial phase for the NHD to purchase 5,000 container homes. And those will be, some of them will be for sale. So with a program with the NHD, you will be able to purchase Some of them will be used to build housing schemes, which you can purchase, and a portion of them will be made available through social housing. The government itself will also be purchasing some of these containerized housing solutions, which will be made available through the social housing modality. So effectively, we have to do a rapid deployment of housing solutions. And the easiest way to do this is to use the containerized solutions. They do take some time to arrive in Jamaica. There's just certainly not the quantity to make an impact. So we have met and discussed it. We have taken the policy decision.
All right, stop. Because you're all lied. You're definitely all lied. So, Andrew Holness, that is not the easier way to go. The easier way to go is what the engineers are telling you. That's the easier way to go. And that will stimulate the economy. Now, let me share another document. That's the easier way to go, Andrew Holness. But you want to sustain, right, your friend's criminality and where you can eat a food. That's the thing now, Andrew. And that's you know. Right? That is what you're in. Now, okay, all right. Here me have the document now, people. So we hear what Andrew Holness has said. That is the easier route. That is not the easier route, sir. Here it is now. Rebuild with concrete, not containers. Engineering groups urge after Hurricane Melissa. So then, Andrew Holness, let me ask you a question. Let me go back to now what you just said. Have you done the research? No, absolutely not. You have not done any research. Because if you have done any research, you'd have spoken to the engineering group. So evidence people, see that Jamaica, you can look on it, evidence. Andrew Holness did not do any research. Right? Him just want to sell off a thing, want him brethren them, you understand, eat a food and him eat a food. The system, the status quo of corruption must continue. See that? See the evidence in the people. Rebuild with concrete, not containers. Engineering groups urge after Hurricane Melissa. When you see how wicked? 3 of the leading construction and engineering groups in Jamaica are urging the government to prioritize permanent hurricane resilient housing over temporary container units as the country moves to rebuild following Hurricane Melissa. In a joint statement issued Wednesday, the Incorporated Master Builder Association of Jamaica, look here, are the Master Builder people, are the Master Builder of Jamaica that talk to him, you know. Is the Master Builder of Jamaica that tell him, say, no, that is wrong, you know. No, the Incorporated Master Builder Association of Jamaica, the Jamaica Institute of Engineers, people here, the Jamaica Institute of Engineers and the Jamaican Institute of Architects called for a national shift towards stronger construction method as a foundation of long-term recovery. Now, you know what I'm doing? After this come out, send 2 fian. You understand? The TVJ. 2 fian, one man and one woman. You understand? Went on TVJ. They talk about, oh, you know, the containers are sustainable and, you know, they're strong and, yeah, it's, you know, it's the way to go. Many countries around the world are doing containers. And when I did the research, you understand, many scientists are saying, no, it's a scam. They are saying it's a scam. So again, it's to show you how Andrew Holness are now. Because what? No more cash pot, no more cash plus, no more wallet, and no more SSL, no exist again. You lean up yourself now for create some new way of scam the people. That is what you are doing. Because cash plus and wallet and SSL gone, no more of them now exist. So you want to get into now, you understand? You want to get into the house building thing situation now, for scam the people them now. You want to come in with your containers now. You want to come in with your containers for scam, even when the master builder them now. The master builder association and tell us enough to do it. You know? You understand? Before you double, you want double before to show you how you're so, you know, you're so evil, you're so stubborn. You know, reduce it from 5,000, you know. You know, reduce it from 5,000 and I go to 3,000. You need to stop it. The container owns, yes, Mystic Sensation and Melting Pot, right and loan from endorse it temporarily to aid the situation now. We don't say nothing wrong with that temporarily. But when you're talking about to put them in a scheme, right? And when you're talking about now to make them become permanent structure, we don't want to go down this with you. Now, 5 weeks after Hurricane Melissa destroyed more than 40,000 homes and damaged an estimated 191,000 across Western Jamaica, the nation's contractors, engineers, and registered architects are urging a pivot toward permanent hurricane resilient block and steel, reinforced concrete, and engineered timber housing as the foundation of national recovery. The statement said, me don't talk to you, you know. Me don't talk to you, you know. You know me stop share this. Cause me say, me don't talk to you. Yes, me no more talking with you. Me dey expose your criminality. Me dey expose the level of criminality. So Melting Pot come in and make sure so when you come in this time, don't carry no hatchet. More you carry one big old dirty sledgehammer. Come in.
But I mean, you know, we all know the corruption is that thing where exists on a wide scale in Jamaica. Yeah. To the extent where I would have labeled corruption as a product that them diversify at Jamaica. Several participants participate in that corruption. And as a result of that, yeah, Andrew only know him have a whole heap of people who will support him with corruption. Yeah. But I mean, you know, I'm not surprised that the Master Builders Trade Association and all the Architect Institute and, you know, these people has come out. But what I'm surprised about is how long it take them to come out. Because from day one I hear about this container housing solution. Yeah. I was not for that type of housing solution to commence in Jamaica. Because based on the fact that you are going to borrow money to bring these containers in, yeah, and the fact of the matter that the Prime Minister put a 90-day grace period before him commence the program of rolling out the container house, yeah, I look at it and say, well, that's not feasible. Because 90 days a lot of house could have get repaired, the one them where, you know, no badly damaged. Yeah. And you could have a program, yeah, where, you know, people who have big houses and live in our community, you shelter the one them who, you know, you can accommodate. Yeah. Because you want to start reduce the amount of people who are in the shelter so that you can get back the school them to, you know, come back in line of operation. Yeah. Because this is a national crisis, you know. And when you have a national crisis, you must have solidarity amongst the people who are affected. So I know people would have, you know, utilized that strategy, yeah, of, you know, housing people from within their community if their houses are repaired and spacious enough. Yeah. And you go through that system of, you know, reconstructing and rehabilitating people. Yeah. Because what the container house going to do, the simple fact of the matter that they cannot be for permanent, yeah, housing solution. You'd have to take back these containers. Remember, you buy them, you know. What are you going to do with all these containers? So I see the containers a waste of money. But Andrew see it as a means of achieving money through means of corruption. And I have to call it for what it is, because that's the only reason why Andrew Holness is so adamant that he's, going down that route and not listening to the people who are, the bureaucrats in this regard as it relates to housing and housing solution. Yeah? Container house, I don't see it all over the world where disaster occur. I never see it in any one of them war-torn country or disaster country that was hit by storm and all them things, the earthquake. I don't see it nowhere to that scale where Andrew Holness has said. Yeah? Guys like container housing would have taken over now, because what Andrew Holness is saying is that, it is widely distributed in crisis of this time worldwide. It's like it get approval from, the people in charge who look at housing and the durability. So the people in charge of science in that regard, where the housing solution is concerned. This cannot be a product that the world is seeking to, facilitate restoration program when you have crisis like this. So Andrew Holness lying on the back of that. Yeah. But let us look at corruption and Andrew Holness part. Since Andrew Holness has been the Prime Minister of Jamaica, we have seen where corruption has spread through a lot of, sector in our society, all walks of life, basically. Yeah. And I mean, we can find them out, And your video clipping that you played prior to your segment shows how damaging corruption can be. Now, when you look at even a banking institution like NCB, that is riddled with corruption as it relates to people banking their money, but their money disappear without their withdrawing it, based on some hanky-panky deal that's been struck by the Bank of Jamaica and the commercial banks. So that is another sector that you look at and you say corruption. Where you look upon the police and the road, yeah, issuing tickets, that is corruption. People get ticket willy-nilly, yeah, by all means. And that take away from that person who has to pay that corruption ticket. It takes food from him table. It takes money from him having that to do other means to develop him life and him family life. Yeah. When you look through other various means, even the hospital, yeah, we are seeing where the Ministry of Health now, as a ministry, is greatly involved in corruption. Because the minister said them spend the most money on health. But when you're sick as a taxpayer and you go to the hospital, you have to find your own resource as it relates to money before you can get looked after. If you're going with a broke foot, you have to buy your own pin them, you have to buy your medication. So we see where corruption has spread throughout various means of the society. Yeah? We look at beach that's been taken away from the people and given to some, foreign investor. That is corruption again. Because what you do, you take away people's social life. You understand? Yeah. When you look at injustice through the court system, that is another means of corruption. We know of cases that are tried at night. They are in closed door. And the verdict delivered on the back of money being paid. Those are corruption. Does that enhance the growth of a country? No, it does not. When you look in the media space, that's where it's even rampant. You understand? And that is corruption at its highest score. Because the media is charged with responsibility of delivering credible information to the entire society. Yeah? But when you have a media house who practice lies because that media house is in so much debt to the tune of $1.5 billion, plus that media house has gotten 10 previously write-off, it says a lot. And when you look at some other individual from other media houses who are now falling in line with the corruption, it speaks volume of how this administration operates. You look at the port of entry, widespread corruption. as it relates to people losing their goods that they ship into the island. Yeah. And you have a guy like Pumbal say people contact him can do investigation overnight and sort the problem out. So Pumbal knows the corruption there at the port of entry where him responsible for. You understand? But Pumbal in his defense say that easier to back his government, so you know him government deal with corruption. Because if it wasn't so, all these amount of shipment and guns and ammunition and drugs would not be coming through our port. So corruption, they have diversified corruption to the extent where almost all walks of life in our Jamaican society are participate. You see, even at the voting exercise, it was corrupted by various means. Yeah, Inc. has left the EOJ office. 1.4 billion leave into unscrupulous member of parliament and using a narrative of school bus. But you can't see the school bus, but you see the money that brandish all about in the election exercise. Vote was buying to some exorbitant price, even 100,000 were paid. I mean, even in the case of the day of people working in the electoral, in the polling division, some of them were paid to go sick to the tune of 500,000 and 700,000 Jamaican dollars. That is corruption to the core. So Andrew Holness preside over a corrupted administration who, unleash corruption right across the length and breadth of Jamaica. So this is why Andrew Holness does not want to heed. I mean, we've been telling him all along, but maybe him look at us as, we don't have the professional wisdom to speak to him and houses. Yeah? But now the people who are the bureaucrats in that department, he's finding it, something like a tough nut to crack. Him don't want to eat to these people because he's this type of dictator. When him said this, he mean this. Even when it's wrong, even when you can't stay as far as from Mars and she said wrong, Andrew always want to implement it. Yeah? Because when him do it, him going to have another system that come on the back of the container houses. When we get a next category 3, we don't even have to get a category 5. A category 3, we get rid of them container houses there. So I don't even have to put it a category 5. Yeah? And then him have back the same problem when go borrow again and chop the money. Because that's all Andrew always want to do, But me I tell Andrew only say him now gonna be the man around to preside over no more category 5 or category 3. Because Andrew you have to go soon, Because the deeds of corruption, the seed where you sow with you, you're going to reap it soon. That is why you are in the predicament that you are in with Mr. Buchanan. Because of the same high level of corruption. The corruption was so rampant and devastating that it exceeds the amount of vote on the register list in the constituency. When you tally Mr. Buchanan and your number, yeah, it showed that that constituency alone have 100% voter turnout. You understand what never existed across the length and breadth of the island based on the entire voter turnout statistics. You understand? But that constituency alone show 100%. So it show how much Andrew Holness practice and participate in corruption. And we have other examples, like, the leader of him party, yeah, GLP, up an arena with him and Manor Yard. He move around the place with 7 busload of people who shouldn't be there. None of them could vote for him. But him just bring them there to intimidate the people, that even the people who are work had to leave them posts and return in an hour time. This is how disruptive this guy is when it comes to dealing with corruption. So Jamaica is now suffering the consequence of this monster of corruption. This is why we cannot, give any account. The ministry them can't give any account to 3 trillion. Yeah, and those ministry are under his supervision. 3 trillion, which super exceed the amount of damage currently done by Melissa Yeah, we wouldn't have to borrow any money. So we have to speak about corruption in a critical manner. How devastating corruption can be to an island like Jamaica, where it has, allowed the dollar to continue to slide. No matter how much money the diaspora send in, no matter what is going on in Jamaica, the dollar continue to slide under this administration because of high-level corruption. When you have a government who extend two Class A importation license to a member of its cabinet to import agriculture into the country, yeah, it tell you that corruption is so much that it has to be rewarded right through evening cabinet. This is why so much of them becomes wealthy, billionaire and millionaires. People who went into politics without anything, but they're having all type of building erected all over the place. Yeah? When you look, you see the Prime Minister, a sell all house at Edmund Ridge, turn sales representative and using a narrative to sell the house that they are hurricane-proof houses and that the Operation Pride House under the PMP, yeah, are now Operation Shame in comparison to his Edmund Ridge hurricane, suitable houses. But what happened? Those houses were destroyed. Now that is corruption to the core. Because the Prime Minister knows he lied. Because he know how the houses were built, that they weren't durable. They cannot withstand hurricane category 5, probably not even category 3. They would have been damaged. So when you have a Prime Minister, yeah, that's all in pride, yeah, to do to the nation is to lie, 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 and don't stop lying. You have problem. Because remember, as my brother Byron early point out, a particular circumstance which Andrew embraced corruption. Dalrymple was charged for corruption. Charged. Found guilty and charged. What Andrew do? He bring her back, he wash her off and bring her back. But remember, when you get involved in a corruption, you stay in forever, That cannot be washed off, Because people will always remember what you were charged for. So I don't see how Andrew think him can clean up Dalrymple. Him can't clean up even Red Reed when I try to clean up. Him can't clean up himself either. And him can't clean up the next 10 or 12 where the IC, put out the number, didn't speak in terms of who they are. But just tell the nation that there is a further 10 individuals from within the same administration to ensure the widespread as it relates to corruption. Now when we look on some high-level killing we're going at Jamaica, we can't solve. But the evidence are there. Yeah? The evidence are there staring in your face. But the cases them can't solve. The case them just lay down so asleep for long. It shows you say corruption exists. And the only reason why these cases are there is because the affiliation, when you look up it ties to the leadership of the party who are run the country. Because when you look, Patrick Bailey case is a cut and dry case. Cut and dry. But Patrick Bailey was so bold and presumptuous that he tell us him back broad like double door shutter. God know none of that to him. Yeah, him know him have the backing of the Prime Minister, even though him know we go on. Say it's a criminal offense. Yeah, and him should be charged. Then put him on bed rest. I never hear that yet. Bed rest when him sleep to sound. That's him couldn't even hear a gunshot. Then what kind of more rest him want? What kind of a more rest Patrick Bailey would have want? When you look on the amount of cocaine will come in, and Fitzbailey tell we, say, people are going to charge within the next 2 weeks. I know. But the said man who was in charge of crime, yeah, as the assistant commissioner in charge of crime, him leave and gone to Turks and Caicos Island. Gone take up a position that was going to be available. Because remember, Gugu Gaga was the commissioner, you know. And Fitzpatrick knows that Gugu Gaga will leave. So him would have been the man for the commission post. When him do? Him leave and go take up commission over Turks and Caicos. The same position. So it a tell us a man a run leave Jamaica one by one. Nigel Clark run leave it too. Leaching run gone because know him in a corruption to the hill. So we are watch them a run. We're watching them running leaving the country. When last anybody hear about leaching in Jamaica? Him gone missing. The man that was in charge to roll out the 5 and 4 plan. Yeah, him and Nigel Clark. You know, see them run gone. Because that was a scam based and done upon corruption. So when we talk about corruption, we have to diversify corruption. Yeah? And spread it out to where we see it happen. Yeah? Because leeching rob out the Jamaican people money in the bank, you know, NCB, you know, which we all know was a corrupted institution. Because that was the entity where Andrew Holness money go through. Yeah? Without any checks and balance. Account all open without no money being deposited. Yeah? So we ask the question. But we only ask it to the nasty criminal them. Because we know the answer, you know. But we ask them the question. Why after, yeah, the Jamaican electorate, yeah, gave you their support, elevate you to be in member of parliament, yeah, representing people who you promise prosperity, why you not go in there and destroy the people in life using the tool called corruption? Why? Why a government would preside over a banker in our country who take away the people money without even giving them interest on it? Why? Because you see the leader of the country and that said banker, them like peas in a pod. The man even make him open an account without no money. We know about the hanky-panky deal. I know which structure around with SSL and NCB Bank. NCB Bank was the bank that the money got through from SSL. So we ask the question again, Andrew Holness, at time you come clean to the Jamaican people and explain to them why as a prime minister your name called for so much corruption. Remember you give the backside levy and Nigel Clark, you know. I remember you get the contract now, you know. And you have the contract with over 200 trucks. You kick out the little private haulage contractor them with them 1 and 2 trucks. You dominate that space, so I ask you, how much more wealth out of Jamaica you can amass? How much more you want? You don't have enough. Or is coming like you able to drink out pantifin and you can't stop. Because your administration and your corruption and how you involved in it, you know. It blatant say so you run the country. You don't have no other idea and vision for run the country. That's why you know why I listen to the master builders and the Institute of Architect and all these people, you know. You know why I listen to a man like Melting Pot Byron and Lonesome and Rattigan, you know. How we are telling you the container houses are not the solution. You are going to waste the money you're borrowing, plunging the country into more austerity measure, causing more higher rising inflation on the back of the poor suffering Jamaican, while you are your big rich friend them living a big large life, celebrating day and night, drinking champagne and smoking caviar cigar, and fly out whenever necessary. This has to stop. Because Andrew Holness, you are not paying back the debt for the country. None of your big boys friend them not pay it back. And the poor people them are pay it back. So Andrew don't really care how erratic him borrowing want to be, you know. Does he? No, him don't care. Because Andrew Holness is an erratic guy. Very erratic as well. You understand? You've seen so much damage what this man bring to the island. Yeah? The man damaged every age group in a society. Every age group. From the little boy them who forget 15-year radam to the baby them can't play no tie gun to big pick as 12-year-old in a car seat a drive up and down. Maybe when them drop that one and patrol them head lick the rooftop. At the vehicle where them in. I saw this guy operate. Remember people pay 700,000 for mask, 200,000, 150,000. People get killed for just not wearing masks. People get trimmed. All type of virus bangarang. Because Andrew Wallace plan the whole strategy of how he might operate in the country, you know. Andrew Wallace knows that PJ Patterson are the longest serving prime minister with 3 terms. When Andrew see the opportunity arising at 2020 on the back of the pandemic, you know, him easily call that, you know. That was a snap election. The country never drove it. And not take that project. The country even have 1 more year. Him would have an extended year based on the fact that the country gone through the pandemic. But when doing capitalize, using corruption as well, kill off over 7,000 people, and suppress the figure say at 3,000. Over 7,000 people and your cause for death by keeping that election. Yeah, and secure in 2 terms. So he make sure secure 2 terms. And then have the plan to rob the 3rd term so him come equalize him think himself with PJ Patterson. Yeah? And then after I know him steal the election, a King's House him talk about 4th term. You know, see this man is a serious criminal we have in our country operate. We have a dictator and a criminal in our one. Because Andrew fully well knows the vast amount of money we spend in the campaign. The majority of that come from the 1.4 billion where him and Pumbas decided to take from the people's treasury, taxpayers' money. This is why you can't see no new bus, you see old bus. This is why you can't even see the number. You see a lesser number. You understand? Because that is corruption, my people. The same thing them done with the used car for the police. I'll know 30 outstanding still. Again tie that again. When you look at the Prime Minister draw down 12-year concession money from AAJ. Jamaican Airport Authority. You know a corruption that.
Melting Pot, let me just answer what Elaine is saying. Elaine is saying, Mystic, tell me something. Is the JPS money a part of this 6.7 billion loan? Okay, all right. A portion, I think, $2.8 billion allotted to, assist some businesses, which a portion of that, right, JPS, you understand, is privy to deal with the process for that. So yes, a portion of that would be what JPS, right, is allowed to apply for, right, based on what Favor Williams said, right. It's still not yet, to me, clarified, right, because the government, Jamaica, right, as it relates to the 150 million being loaned to JPS, right? Does it come in from out of the Jamaican purse, or that is going to be factored into, right, what is allotted, right, for JPS to do an application for? So some verification need to still, some clarity, right, need to be fully understood, right? Need to be fully understood. So I know what I am saying to you. You still wouldn't clear, because me myself, right, we're still seeking some clarity. Melting Pot, you have anything to on that to assist Elaine?
Yes, I can shed some light on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the light that I'm going to shine on that, I know them get 200 million US already. Them get the 150 and them get 50 from out of OUR. Okay, so that's a total of 200 out of the 350 billion US. Yeah. But here's what also pressing needs that we need to understand. Because I never hear
Hold on, melting pot.
GPS come.
No, melting pot. No, what she's asking if is the JPS money a part of the 6.7 billion, right? Which to me, yes, a portion of that has been allotted for them. You understand, to deal with some application process where that is
Yeah, but
concerned.
what I am saying in that regard, I'm coming to that point, Sir Byron.
Okay.
I'm saying in that regard, I never hear JPS, the management team, come out and state the extent of them damage and what it requires. I'm only hearing from the government as it relates to JPS. Now I know
Yes.
them get 200 million already from the government. Yeah, I know they are a private enterprise in terms of them having the license. Yeah, to operate them 180% height. Now I'm just gonna use a narrative. If I'm in a house that I just get a mortgage ban, yeah, and something happened to my house, I know the mortgage lender now come fix my house. You know, I'm still responsible to fix that. So I have to go get a loan. So it should be on GPS to get their loan. But I don't know nothing in that regard. I'm seeing the government of Jamaica now doing everything in regard to GPS. But I know GPS rattled up 172 million in profit over the last 3 years. And I'm asking the question, why haven't they reinvest any of those profits? Yeah? And it can't be that Jamaica government and well, the government and the taxpayers undertake JPS burden when it's a private enterprise operating in the country. Them own 80%, the Japan and the South Korean entity own 80%. The Jamaica government own 19%, and 1% is amongst, small shareholders. You understand? So I can't see why the government is doing all of this. The JPS. The only thing I know for a fact is that the license is at an end. It's only 19-month leave. And I don't think that the current licensing holder want to, renew that license. So I think there's a big problem that the government is not saying to the Jamaican public in that regard. The minister for that sector, Umvaz, is not speaking. He's gonna hiding from a day. And whenever the Prime Minister speak or even the Minister of Finance speak, them lie to us. This is why we can't get no clarity. Because what we're hearing from JPS, is nothing of any substance. Because we don't hear what the current shareholder is reinvesting back in the restoration program. It's down to everything down on the government shoulder and the taxpayers. But we don't want that. We only have 19%. Them have 80. So why the majority shareholder is not around the bargaining table? That's the question we need to ask. Yeah, in regard to that amount of money that them get, the 6.7 billion, I don't think it was earmarked in any way, shape, or form for JPS to get any out of it. If JPS is getting any out of it, it's on the government decision, but not by the lenders.
All right.
I hope
Use
that
another minute.
answer.
All right. Use
I
another
hope that
minute to wrap
answer.
up.
Yeah.
Use another minute
So
to wrap up on melting pot.
all right. So in that regard, it's down to the government how much funds from the 6.7 billion they will put into the. Well, what from what we know, them still need a what 150, 350, and them get two. They need 150 million
Yeah,
US.
that is correct. That is correct.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what it is, and that's where it is at the moment. So the only amount of money that they need is 150 million more US. So if the government give them from that, then they must tell we at what interest. Because just like all the taxpayers are going to pay it back with an interest rate to the lenders, we have to know if JPS are borrow that net 150 from the government. As a matter of fact, we want to know the entire package where them get. What's the interest rate and returns? Because I remember, every money where JPS get, them get the cat ban, where the taxpayers money to throw that, and the insurance mature to the category 5 status. That money never go towards the people benefiting from it. It go into JPS. So JPS not serious dilemma. Is there a dark cloud hanging over JPS? But the government is hiding it. But it's as clear as daylight to a man like me, a visionary who can look far and see what is happening down the road. Just like how we that tell them to the container house is not the solution. The people who are charged with that responsibility, like the bureaucrats, they are now saying the same thing, but them take too long to say it. Yeah. But I'm just glad that they come out and strengthen what we were saying around here all along. I want the people in charge with responsibility into Jamaica to act and act swiftly. Don't wait till this barbaric prime minister try to commission him plans them into place. Because sometimes you can't get back the ass when it goes through the gate. We don't need to come out if you don't know the truth and speak the truth. If you know him wrong, come out and tell him categorically say him wrong. Like what we do around here. We don't hold no bars. When we sit wrong, we point it out right here and then. You don't allow a little youth to start badness in the community and when him turn big man. You can't contain him. You contain him from him young, catch him and talk to him, rehabilitate him and change him. So, you know, that's all I'm saying right now. The people with the responsibility role in a civil society gonna need to act with a more sense of urgency when you see the government have a rogue come out and talk to him categorically right here and then. Put out phone a response to him and say, don't make him manifest him lies and him trick and corruption because it's on the Jamaican where it suffer the consequence of team action. And you know him never have an action that coincide with the pride of Jamaica. Him is a rogue and I yield back the floor.
All right, wonderful melting pot, holding the hands. All right, now we are going to get into some more serious situation. And just tell Andrew Holness, bring back memories to Andrew Holness to let him understand that he really feel miserably. And we see Wayne Henry as what melting pot previously spoke about, right, as it relates to the 5 and 4. So we are going to go back down to memory lane because something serious, Jamaican people, listen to me now. Something serious is happening to NCB. Very serious. Very, very serious. Now, we all know that Lee Chin, right, is the creator for the 5 and 4, the mastermind 5 and 4. And Andrew Holness, right, buy into it. But it's a callous failure. So when you see Wayne Henry coming out, right, speaking about Andrew Holness' performance and poverty days going down, all of that is to sell the narrative that Andrew Holness did not fail as it relates to the 5 and 4 plan, right? Andrew Holness definitely, as a matter of fact, as according to him, you understand, reach as close, right, as it relates to having 4% growth. Nothing
4.9.
like that.
4.9, Byron.
Yeah?
4.9, them are refused.
Yeah. 4.9. Now,
yes,
let me say this to make it categorically clear. And, you know, when we say there's nothing like that, United States has a better economy than us. And United States has not attained that. Right? Other Caribbean countries that are successful, much more than us, have not attained that. So obviously, right, what Henry is selling to Jamaica to sell into the 5 and 4, you understand, is totally lie. And that is so disgusting in terms of what he's doing. Anyway, we are going to mash up them plan today. Now, look at these people. Let us go back into memory lane and tell you how Andrew Holness sell the 5 and 4, just like how him sell Edmund Ridge. The same thing that happened to Edmund Ridge is the same thing that happened to the 5 and 4. Anything that Andrew Holness touches, anything, it just seems like nature is against him. I want to say the spiritual realm, right, is totally against him. Anything that this man touch, you understand, is destruction. Anything that he touches, destruction. So let us listen to him on the 5 and 4, because what I'm going to show is to show that the man who at the helm that planned the 5 and 4 is in big trouble. So that now supposed to write off Wayne Henry in terms of everything what Wayne Henry is saying. I am going to carry the people through that this morning and show Wayne Henry to go back, right, into the hell pit where we once came. Now, let us go into the history of your 5 and 4 and show you how you sold this 5 and 4 Andrew Holness, and that you are what? Careless failure. Let us remind the people how you defend the 5 and 4. Now, this is Andrew Holness, and you can't say a lie now, tell you now. You see who shot me go feed? Jamaica Information Service. www.jis.gov, Government of Jamaica. Now, this is how Andrew Holness selling the 5 and 4. 5 and 4 growth plan will benefit poor and vulnerable. You saw him start, just like how him sell Edmund Ridge. You understand? And that Edmund Ridge is, nowhere like Operation Pride, and Operation Pride was this and Operation Pride was that. But have you seen Andrew Holness come out and speak about Edmund Ridge? No, not speaking about it. Take for himself. Ordinary scammer. That's what scammer does. You understand? That's what scammer does. 5 and 4 growth plan will be benefit poor and vulnerable. Prime Minister, the most honorable Andrew Holness, says measures by the government and the Economic Growth Council. This is how he like tell Lionel that when he travel overseas, people tell him that the economic doing well. When him travel and they look on the road, and look boy tell him and said he was going to be the prime minister and he's going to do good. And all this storyline that they build up when they are telling their lies. That's what they do. That's what they do. They are scammers. That's what they do. Now, Prime Minister, the most honorable Andrew Holness, says measures by the government and the Economic Growth Council to put Jamaica on part of higher and sustained growth will benefit the poor and vulnerable. This is from 20. See that? See the date in the paper? Look on the date. November 9, 2016. Now, let us subtract Melissa, right, from out of the equation that we are going to use, right, up until the point of when Melissa, right, prior to Melissa, right, Jamaica has not attained such growth, right? And you see, Wayne Henry tried to come out and try to sell a lie and try poverty is down, even when they don't do census. One of the first things that we push back at Wayne Henry to say, okay, all right, how could you say that poverty is down from 18% to 9% and you have not done a census? You cannot derive, you understand, with that particular assessment and you have not done a census. So people in Jamaica, say that couldn't happen. Anything one must say this, so a lie because he has not done it. Now, let us go on. You see them? See them here? See the kind of artists them here, people? And you see the sign where they are show? 5 and 4. Look for them, people. See them here? See the scammer them here? 5 and 4. Shoulder up. 5 and 4. Now, from right, him run gone, Him run gone. Much of the economy run gone. Nigel Clark. Him involved in every Ponzi scheme that also leeching involving them two here involving Cash Plus, Olint, and SSL. Am I lying, Andrew Holness? You and leeching involving Cash Plus, Olint, and SSL. Right? Now, the truth be told, I really don't know anything about the left. The other one on the left. But I see my show now 5 and 4. And them 3 of the show 5 and 4. And of them I deal with. You understand? Them 3 of me I deal with. And them I show the 5 and 4. Big failure. Now, the council, which was launched in April, is committed to achieving 5% growth in gross domestic product in 4 years. Andrew Wallace, where they grow that there? People, may I say, put medicine into this equation, you know, right? Where that growth is, Andrew Wallace. Where is that growth? I'm going to show you what happened. I'm going to show Jamaican people what happened to the main perpetrator in the 5 and 4, which is leaching. Mr. Holness expressed confidence in the so-called 5 and 4 plan, just like how you expressed confidence in the Edmund Ridge property, noting that the country is already reaping the rewards of the discipline from various sectors to maintain social order and cohesion, as well as to improve the macroeconomic environment of the country. You're wicked and lie. Yo, Prime Minister, the most honorable Andrew Holness says measures by the government and the Economic Growth Council to put Jamaica on a path of higher and sustained growth will benefit the poor and vulnerable. More you show me how much poor want you show me how much poor people and vulnerable benefited. As a matter of fact, the NHT, you understand what? Used to do a little thing for poor people, the contributors, right? You mash up that. You and your friend Dex him. You understand? I'm showing you the criminality I own, you know. You understand? To show you that now we worry, we are scared, we're scared out of our wits to know what we are going through and the billions that you are getting from IMF. And you did the angle of the money there. You, no sir. No sir. Me can't feel comfortable. Me I tell you in Jamaica, me can't feel comfortable. The council, which was launched in April, is committed to achieving 5% growth in gross domestic product, right, in 4 years. Did we get that? You all dirty liar. You understand? Let me stop and share and take you away, because the more I read you, you understand, my blood are boiling. My blood are boiling this morning. You know. You understand? But we're going to deal with it right away. Now, let me deal with it right away and show people now as it relates to the aftermath. What happened? I'm not blaming for the aftermath, you know. I'm going to show certain things. Right? Yeah, as a matter of fact, you know what? Let me take it to you. Let me just take with that. You understand? Because I don't want it to look like, say, well, all right. You understand? You know, we are blaming you for the aftermath. So, as it relates to what the aftermath had done, and, you know, we are, you know, 11 to 13%, right, as it relates to that sort of damage, right, that we are going to get. I am not going to put it on you. You understand? So let me just take down the clip there. All right, remove the clip there. Right? Now, look what me are going. Me are go right into the criminal. As a matter of fact, here I am going. I am going to go to Mrs. Seaga, right, who is the head of the private sector, is telling Wayne Henry. So listen, based on his conversation, he's actually telling Wayne Henry, he not literally say it, but based on the conversation, he's saying that the country has not grown. Mash up everything what Andrew Holness has said. I want you to listen to this, people. Listen to this. Listen to this. You have the evidence around here now. Listen to this, my Jamaican people. You understand? Now listen to this. Pay keen attention. Hear what Mrs. Seaga is saying.
To develop, not an easy market to get in, especially for smaller companies. But we have to start, and we are so doing. And I think that once the government really understands the importance of our location and understands the importance of developing Jamaica as a logistics-centered economy, and allow the SEZ to develop its hub and spoke system, which is bringing in larger companies that are going to need smaller companies to manufacture components. I think that's when we'll see the needle really move. You see, just not to belabor the point, Ricky, but for too long, we have taken our natural resources here in Jamaica, our bauxite, our sugar, our coffee, and we have taken them and sent them away to nations like Europe, who have industrialized on the backs of that and have developed those products, added value, and sent them back to us and taught us how to like them. And the time has come for us to recognize it and start to do the value added here. Not all of it. We're not going to be manufacturing cars and rockets in 5 years. We get that. But there's certainly value added. So for my money, we should not be exporting very much more raw material. We should be setting up the establishments to add the value here at home.
So you've spoken a little bit about, like bauxite and alumina. These are sectors which are not doing as well as they can, or as well as they have done in the past. I suppose we have quite a lot of labor from those areas who are maybe open for employment in other parts of manufacturing. Looking at labor, what do you think is the situation in Jamaica for labor and in manufacturing?
I always say I'm willing to put any of my workers against any worker from anywhere in the world if they are equally trained, equally managed, and equally compensated. I think our workers are excellent. But those three things have to be there. Management has got to play their part in training. We have got to set up training establishments. So we have HEART and we have other training institutions. We just don't have sometimes we don't have the stick-to-itiveness as people because the demand is so great out there. But I think we have smart English-speaking labor and very trainable. We see it when Jamaicans go away, they are.
All right, let me just take with this and explain something here, because oftentimes that Andrew Holness is talking about upskilling of labor, right? And where Mr. Seaga is saying that we have people here who are capable, right? So we must utilize and spend as much on them in terms of getting them up to par because we have the people here, right? Not only that, the important things what Mrs. Seaga was had said as it relates to how we are giving away our backside to other countries who have developed it, right, and added value to it, right, and as a matter of fact, turn around and sell us back. So then, that administration, as it relates to Andrew Holness administration, right, need to recognize that in order for us to move forward, we have to now set into a manufacturing gear. Now, where am I going there? Set into a manufacturing gear. Now look, we also have seen and witnessed where Nigel Clark had reduced the bauxite levy. So we are not getting anything from the backside. We are not getting anything from the backside. But I don't want to stray too much into that. I want to show you as it relates to the 5 and 4. Let me get back on track with that. Look what happened with the to the 5 and 4 man. Now look here, people. Now watch this. Look where we are going. Look what happened to the 5 and 4 man. Let us keep it up. Here it is. So what happened to the 5 and 4 man here? People see it here. The 5 and 4 man in trouble. See it here? November 28, 2025. November 28, 2025 last week. Listen to people. Michael Lee Chin is in trouble. Bondholders issue Lee Chin 94 million ultimatum. No flexibility. Class puts Lee Chin NCB shares on the line in new debt deal. Bondholders have given businessman Michael Lee Chin until the end of this year to make a 94 million payment covering overdue interest and a partial loan repayment, or face the seizure of his crown jewels, a massive 1.24 billion share take in NCB Financial Group that secures his company's debt. You hear that, people? Problem there. The US 94 million is a decisive first hurdle, combining people with 19.1 million US in outstanding interest up to September 5th, and a 75 million installment and the original principal. Investors in the companies Barbados Portland Limited and Specialty Coffee Investment Company Limited will vote in December on a deal that offers Leachin more time. However, failure to make this initial payment by December 31st, 2025, deadline will automatically trigger the seizure of the NCB Financial Group shares. Bangarang Dea, people, it no normal. It no normal. So, the big man that engineered the 5 and 4 in serious dilemma, melting pot.
Yeah.
The big man is in serious dilemma. So then, this is what you talk about, right? That all of the anything that Andrew Holness involved in, all them syndicates them. Problem. What say you on the matter, melting pot?
Well, you know my take on the matter long time, because we already identify and established this guy as a corrupt in our society. Michael Lynch. Yeah, him no fear, him no credible. That's why I couldn't, relate to the circumstance of how him rise to prominence. Yeah. Mongo say him know him used to be a landscaper. And I mean everybody know that couldn't get him to where he is. Yeah. Him align himself to a syndicate as the right they, describe them to be. Yeah. And the syndicate, yeah, involve Andrew Holness and many more from within the Jamaica Labour Party. Yeah. Because that's how leeching operates in the country. Him get privilege from the ruling party. Yeah. When it in office, which is the Jamaica Labour Party. And so all of these type of activity where he find himself in a right now, yeah, is a result of the 10 year where the Labour Party in power for. Over that period of time, he went on a spree, as we all know. Spree. Involving in all type of thing, yeah. Using investor money in various means. You understand? Ways and means. We know about the yacht them when buy and sell. But the money then go back in the entity. The money then go back to the entity, So this is where now shortfalls exist. And this is why I'm finding himself in the shit pit. You understand? Remember the man who have bag of money per interest rate, to a United States, to the tune of 17 million US dollar, just not interest rate alone. Now 17 million US dollar bag of money. That's why I'm bleeding the Jamaican look bankers them take out the money. They might use the money and facilitate the debt them when poor. That is just my taking on it because it can't be anything else. We know a bank, yeah.
I supposed to have. I want to endorse that what you say. You understand? Because a lot of people lose their money. Their money.
But remember, if now old man with the whole money to garner them, give back a portion and tell him say not to come talk to you, Hush, take half of the man money, Basically, Did the government pursue justice for the citizen, the common people? Okay. No. So this is why we show Jamaican people say Andrew Holness administration is not in favor of the black and the poor. Like what Michael Manley did say in a 1973 budget speech, the 5th of May, him halt the balance to the black and the poor. And he has no apology to doing that. What Andrew do for the black and the poor? But I make promises and tell lie and trick and con and unleash corruption. That's all I see Andrew Holness do. Because you couldn't have a bank in your country operate like this where people have the money in the bank where I'm supposed to use as investment in the stock market. But when you go, your money disappear and leave zero. Nothing. And that, what you call it now, scam scheme, yeah, was allowed to continue over a long period of time where it moved from just the small accrements where I come out of your bank account to some huge amount, in some cases millions, just wipe out like that, hundreds of thousands, not no look up 5,500 no more, because the thing takes set and manifests itself where it's working, and it's like it's the norm in society where NCB banking a controversy with people money, and nobody pursue this banker because the banker tie himself to the prime minister and the party in power, and that's what facilitate him corruption. Andrew Holness and the Jamaica Labour Party facilitate leeching with him corruption as it relates to having this policy where him take away people money willy-nilly. Oh, you can't feel you know you have a money put on underneath your mattress, but when you go there, it's gone. They're not the same thing your money in a leeching bank and CB, and when you go there, tell us none of that. Or the amount swing along, you know, have the amount where you expect. Are the same, you know, a 6 or 1.5 dozen of the other. But we don't see the Prime Minister, now the man in charge of Bank of Jamaica, none of these people with the responsibility did not stop this monster from carrying out him act of theft and corruption in the country. And now we see it now. You see who I hold him now? International partner I hold him now. Because him is a criminal. Him run left Jamaica from we put out the yacht. The super yacht where him sell the last one. Where the SSL money buy. Yeah, because we know the SSL money them wash this up. Yeah, and convert it to feed them one, clean it up. Him leave the country. And him find himself in a Canada, and when him go to Canada, him donate a sum of money to the Canadian government to fund hospital. Because that is a money now where you call that now a goodwill gesture money to look good in a Canadian government book. But me I tell the Canadian government him is a criminal. Who don't need to grab him. Because Jamaica hospital did in a deplorable condition where him a thief the money from. And him never see to invest that amount of money. Him never adapt one of the institution. But run to Canada and seek safe haven. Yeah? And I want the Canadian government, I think, a 10 million Canadian dollar in one, charitable fund to a hospital. While them left hospital in Jamaica were packed down. And at the same Jamaican people money in thief. So we are look on them guy as some guy where you feel lynch pin them man. Them not too big down the prison got down on the cold concrete. Remember the same thing Adam Stanford did, with the 2020 money, But you see we have to Adam Stanford. But me I will tell you the difference between Adam Stanford and this criminal banker Michael Leachin. Adam Stanford leave a legacy where a lot of young youth have made money from the same 2020 vision. And him bring that. When Leachin left as a legacy, left people crying, some die because of heart failure, a high blood pressure for the money when him thief. Andrew Holness is a decipher. Yeah? Because when Andrew Holness promised the people all the way him promised them, but bring him cronies to come rob the people you know, say Andrew Holness reciprocate the people's vote. That are the trust we give them. Here, not more my Jamaican people. So when you hear a guy come tell you about prosperity and all them things there, lie, bullshit. Andrew Holness mastermind the most corrupted scheme ever roll out in a Jamaica. Where people are invest their money, think are good, profitable investment, them in, but everything gone, and people are benefit. And when everything is said and done, and you in a problem because you owe money where you can't pay back, and you come buy your property for little and nothing. Buy you out. This is how Andrew Holness deal with people. Yeah. Buy you out and then make bag of money on the property them when buy from the same scheme where him corrupt. Andrew Holness, hey, if me have anything for do it, I'm not see back the day of sunlight, you know. And you know, see back, I mean, I had a long time I trying. Cause I have too much case. We can't convict him for every one of them. So you know, so Andrew can't see back the day of light. I mean, no care. Andrew I get over 5,000 a year from me. At the bottom line that, and I yield back the floor.
All right, Pat. Yeah, love that. Now we have what? We have 5 minutes to wrap up, Pat. You understand? Because you know we have to sharpen up the Titans. Right?
Well,
all right. Now we are going to show Jamaica as it relates to right that we have to get up and stand up. Right? And one of the reasons why we need to get up and stand up, we can't have a prime minister that decided that he's going to, maintain being in government without signing the code of conduct, without have his statutory declaration certified, right, and continue, right, down in the walks of corruption. We just can't. And it is time now that Jamaica, right, move in a positive way, right, where we have to, right, send the government a message in saying that enough is enough. I'm going to show you some examples of people who decided to send their government a message. And guess what? They overcome. They overcome. So we are talking about, you understand, peaceful demonstration, right? This government must not be allowed. Enough is enough. And we are having a situation now where, of course, the IMF who had given us aid, right, to have corruption intertwined with that, we are not going to be able to survive this. Portia Simpson, right? This is not Portia Simpson time and Peter Phillips. Portia Simpson and Peter Phillips, they were not kleptocratic. We are dealing with a different ball game that can see our country's sovereignty wipe out from us. Jamaica, wake up, and let me give you the examples that I'm giving you. Jamaica, you make sense of it. Let me give you the example, right? Let me do a quick run here. Now look at this paper.
Protests that started in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, last week escalated to other parts of the country on Tuesday as people demonstrated against the state's plan to introduce higher taxes on things like digital services and mobile phones. Gen Z Kenyans led the demonstrations on social media and on the streets. They entered parliament buildings where they disrupted lawmakers as they voted for the controversial tax measures. People have been confirmed dead from the protest after police fired live bullets at the crowd. Meanwhile, local media said they received threats of being shut down for their live coverage of the demonstrations. President Ruto has 14 days to assent to the bill or ask Parliament for more changes. Protests that started in Kenya's capital, Nairobi.
Jamaica, they won, right? They won. The government has to bow under that circumstances. Let me show you other examples. Because the government has to bow when the people come together. The government must bow. And we are not asking that question. Now, let me give you more details. Let me give you more details, my Jamaican people. Watch this.
Protesters and police face off again near the presidential palace, more than 2 months after anti-corruption protests in Manila turned violent. This time around, there were no scuffles, but there was no shortage of anger, with rallies calling law enforcement protectors of the corrupt. Ahead of Sunday's protest, the defense and interior ministers had warned against any incitement to overthrow the government.
If they are one with the people in calling for full accountability, then they should let the people exercise their free speech.
Prior to marching to the presidential palace, protesters gathered at a nearby park to express their desire for change, starting with the country's leadership.
While previous protests focused on accountability, people here say they've lost faith in the government's ability and intention to investigate and prosecute all officials involved in corruption. Now they want President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to resign because they say it's hard to fathom the country's leader, at the very least, having no knowledge at all.
On how billions of dollars meant for flood mitigation projects reportedly went to politicians instead, that is, corruption that people now blame for recent floods that killed hundreds.
Who have been arrested? These are the fixers. These are the small-time employees who get ordered by those on top to do the wrong things.
Among those on top, protesters here say is the president. In a series of clips released on social media, his once ally in Congress, Zaldico, accused Marcos of demanding around $35 million in kickbacks every month. Cabinet officials quit after the allegation, but Marcos denies any wrongdoing.
Zaldico's lawyer attempted to blackmail the government. He told us that if we don't go through with the cancellation of his client's passport, there won't be any more videos. I do not negotiate with criminals.
Yet at another mass protest on the other side of the Philippine capital, people refrained from calling for Marcos to step down. They say the constitutional successor, Vice President Sara Duterte, is just as corrupt, having been impeached on accusations of misusing intelligence funds. But those calling for Marcos's resignation say they also want Duterte out. Both camps united only in advocating against political dynasties, but otherwise unclear if and when their goals will meet. Barney Below, Al Jazeera, Manila.
Don't miss that. All right. Let us put that away and quickly let us discuss that. Now, Jamaica, the reason for me to be showing this, right, and show you a particular example as it relates to Philippines, where they have gotten, right, a lot of aids, right, a lot of benefits, and the government misused all of that. We have seen Andrew Holness, the very same thing, billions, right, tons of aids, right, and now you're talking about Dana Morrison coming out, right, saying that, okay, they have to strategize, right, in terms of logistically where the money is going and so forth and so forth, is the same examples that we are getting from them, right? You're going to tell me that you're getting X amount of aid, cash, all sort of things you are getting, right? And the government have not decided, the government has not spent, as according to Dana Morris. Come on, Jamaica, wake up with the Andrew Holness. So I am showing you that, right? That, guess what? It's just because to the fact that I have to, we have to prepare for Titans. We'll show you the history of when the citizen goes out against the government for changes. We get that done. Let me tell you something. There are two fundamental ways, right? Legally, where, of course, the government can uproot it out of power. One, when we voted him out. Two, right, a vote of no confidence, right? That is not going to happen under Andrew Holness-led government. The only way that left for people on the globe that ever been utilized and ever been successful, when the people get together. So when time we hear some people I say, you Mystic Sensation, you talk too much, a melting pot talk too much, what are you going to do We are asking you, what are you going to do? Let me tell you something, Jamaica, the trick. If Jamaica get together and unite, the PSOJ has to force pressure on Andrew Holness administration, and he has to work. He must. I am not asking that. I am 100% confident. The only way that we can do it and do it successfully, Jamaica need to be united against Andrew Holness, and he has to go. We are not asking him. Let me put you in melting pot. All right, Pat.
Yeah.
We have 2 minutes, right? Go ahead.
And I will be sharp and precise with this 2 minutes because, you see when Andrew Holness go and try to interfere with Section 14, subsection 5 of the Integrity Commission, it tell you, say this guy, yeah, I do the same thing with that law prescribed, yeah, as it relates to illicit enrichment. That's the only reason why I moved toward Section 14, subsection 5, asking the Integrity Commission
Big up yourself,
to do away. So, right here and then, Andrew Holness established himself, yeah, as a guy who operates on the line of illicit enrichment. And where that is concerned, that is a disaster recipe. That is a recipe of disaster in among society. Yeah. But as the video clipping them that you show in a survivor, it shows where people power can remove such a guy.
Yeah.
You understand? Either through the proper procedure of a general election or a vote of no confidence. But we won't obtain that objectivity through means of vote of no confidence. Because you know where that lies, they won't get the people coming out in full force. Because I'm having millions them MP, The little wanga got belly people them will get the little handout back in the scandal back them at it, So them never come out. You understand? But and then you don't have a private sector organization that works fairly in a society. Remember them align themselves to the Jamaica Labour Party. That's the party that they support all along. So they won't come out in reference to that party and its leader. Yeah, but one thing I can say, when it come on to what they are saying in terms of, these people who know are acting maliciously in favor of corruption like Wayne Henry, when Henry come out and project the 4.8% growth, yeah, to the economy. It's just the other day, I not even go to Seaga when Seaga just said. I just go back to where Omar Azan said. The economy is in the worst state 30 years. 30 years. Him as a businessman has never seen the economy plunge into the dark place where him see it when he. So that alone rub out where the guy Wayne Henry is saying. And Wayne Henry, remember no say, all you are work by the prison sentence, All you are work by the prison sentence and don't feel it can't come your way. Because when you commit perjury, that's a felony, you must be charged. And you lie to the Jamaican people for one aim and one objectivity. We please Andrew Holness. And I yield back the floor, my brother.
All right. So my wonderful listeners, let me say once again, thanks for passing through as always. Right. You are the fire that keep burning. Right. And I love that. Right. So we want to say big thanks. Right. Melting pot, trust me. Always be my soldier out there, and we never hesitate to deliver. Melting pot, big up yourself all the time. American people, tune in. Make sure you catch us on Titans. You're getting 1 in 3 and 3 in 1.
All right. Not 5 in 4.
I am
not
out.
5 in 4.
Not 5 in 4. 1 in 3, 3 in 1. Not 5 in 4.
Yeah.
Blessings.
I remember my people, that 1 in 3 and 3 in 1 remain predominant. Never change, And it always show itself. Never run away.
Never.
All right,
All right.
I don't want you to come to me with that foolishness, you know. You elect a prime minister, and is a prime minister run the country. It is time we learn to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses. Otherwise, go elect the people who really run in the country. And I don't want the right start that stupid argument. Hold the people you elect accountable and stop making excuses for them.